for the first time in my life. And that's why I'll tell you, you better be home soon. That's why I'll tell you, yes, you better be home. When the rain is blowing in your face and the whole world is on your case, I could offer you a warm embrace to make you feel my love. When evening shadows and the stars appear and there's no one to dry your tears, I could hold you for a million years to make you feel my love. And I know you haven't made your mind up yet, but I will never do you wrong. And I've known it from the moment that we met. No doubt in my mind where you belong. I go hungry, I go black and blue, and I go crawling down the avenue. No, there's nothing that I wouldn't do to make you feel my love. The storms are raging on the rolling sea and on the highway of regret. The winds of change are blowing wild and free. You ain't seen nothing like me yet. Make you happy, make your dreams come true. No, there's nothing that I wouldn't do. Go to the ends of the earth for you to make you feel my love, to make you feel my love. I'm so in love with you. Whatever you want to do is alright with me. 'Cause you make me feel so brand new. And I wanna spend my life with you. Let me say that since Oh, baby, since we've been together, oh, loving you forever is what I need. Let me be the one you come running to, and I'll never be so untrue. Let's stay together, loving you whether times are good or bad, happy or sad. Whether good or bad, happy or sad. Why do people break up? Turn around and make up. I just can't see, 'cause you'd never do that to me. Would you, baby? Just being around you is all I see. So we ought to stay together, loving you whether times are good or bad, happy or sad. Come on, yes, we ought to stay together, loving you whether times are good or bad, happy or sad. Sugar pie, honey bun, you know that I love you. I can't help myself, I love you and nobody else. Ooh, in and out my life, you come and you go, leaving just your picture behind, and I kissed it 1,000 times. When you snap your fingers or wink your eye, I come running to you. I'm tied to your apron strings, and there's nothing that I couldn't do. Ooh. Oh, I can't help myself, love you and nobody else. Oh, sugar pie, honey bunch, I'm weaker than a girl should be. Oh, I can't help myself, I'm a fool in love, you see. Wanna tell you I don't love you, tell you why we're through, and I've tried, but every time I see your face, I get all choked up inside. Oh, when I call your name, girl, it starts a flame, burning in your heart, a tearing all apart. No matter how I try, my love I cannot hide. 'Cause sugar pie, honey bunch, you know that I'm weak for you. Oh, I can't help myself, loving you and nobody else. Ooh, sugar pie, honey bunch, do anything you ask me to. Oh, I can't help myself, I want you and nobody else. Ooh. Oh, babe, I can't help myself. Oh, baby, I can't help myself. I've got sunshine on a cloudy day. When it's cold outside, I've got the month of May. Oh, well, I guess you say, what can make me feel this way, my girl? Talking about my girl. I've got so much honey, the bees envy me. I've got a sweeter song, baby, than the birds in the trees. Well, I guess you say, what can make me feel this way, my girl? Talking about my girl. Hey, hey, hey. Hey, hey, hey. Ooh, yeah. I don't need no money, fortune or fame. I've got all the riches, baby, one man can claim. Well, I guess you say, what can make me feel this way, my girl? Talking about my girl. I've got sunshine on a cloudy day, oh, my girl. I've even got her on the month of May, oh, my girl. Talking about my girl. When your baby leaves you all alone, yeah, and nobody calls you on the phone, girl, don't you feel like crying? Don't you feel like crying? 'Cause here I am, honey, come on and cry to me. When you're all alone in your lonely room, yeah, and there's nothing but the smell of her perfume. Don't you feel like crying? Don't you feel like crying? Well, here I am, darling, come on and cry to me. Oh, nothing could be sadder than a glass of wine. Oh, yes, loneliness, loneliness, such a waste of time. Oh, yeah, you don't ever have to walk alone. You'll see now, so come on, take my hand. you're waiting for a voice to come, girl, in the night when there is no one. Don't you feel like crying? Don't you feel like crying? Well, here I am, honey. Come on and cry to me. Well, here I am, baby. Come on and cry to me. Cry to me.
Nicole, softly, get off that. Actually, no, you better be nice to Ali Kent, actually. She's paying for that. Thank you, Bruno. Am I on? Are we on? Beautiful. Good evening, everybody. How you doing? I'm just checking if you can hear me in, I don't know, Kambalda. I think they can if you can ask Chuck, because he's live streaming. Thank you, Chuck. What a wonderful, gift to us, particularly because there's a lot of people that couldn't make it here tonight. Welcome to the KBRC. And for those of you who don't know me, you should know me by now because you're at like my gig, right? No, I'm kidding. It's the Goldfields Women's Healthcare Centre's International Women's Day event. We're so thrilled to be able to have an event like this. And hello to everybody online. And I think probably the only person I know that's listening is my daughter, Rebecca Moyle. Hello. Hopefully there are a few more people that are. So, oh yes, Simone Devine is too from her house up in Hannons. Hi Simone, and thanks for tuning in. How sensational was our Maria? We're usually used to K2, but we're doing, M1.0. I don't know. What are you calling yourself, Maria? Thank you. Version 1. But what a classy lady and what an excellent way to kick off our evening. Let's give Maria a round of applause. She's only been here for 15 years, not quite as old as I am and as long, but you're almost local, and we thank you for everything that you do. And what a beautiful lady inside and out. Now, this evening, we celebrate International Women's Day, and in true Kalgoorlie-Boulder style, we're doing it on a Friday night. The 8th of March was a wonderful day, actually. We got to do some lovely things. Bevan was kind enough to invite me to a high tea. Thank you, Bevan. I really appreciate that. So thank you for being here this evening. And we'll hear a little bit more from him and his St Ives crew here to give him a little bit of a hard time with a bit of luck. So looking around, I see so many of us online as well, and the Sisterhood of the Goldfields here. And here's to all our women. May we celebrate them. May we listen to them. We support them. May we learn from them. We definitely better hire them and give them a pay rise and goddamn well promote them. Thank you. And before we officially open, I actually just want us to take a moment and a breath to appreciate where we are today, because there are so many atrocities happening in our world. And not only that, just let's look over east. So how goddamn lucky are we? Yes, thank you, thank God. Somebody's here. Wakey, wakey, thanks, blessings. Okay, I also would like to take this opportunity to acknowledge the member for Kalgoorlie, Ali Kent. I'm actually used to, you know, she's my friend and I tend to sometimes forget about her, so thank you, Ali. And Nicole Furlong are extremely glad that you're here tonight because they won our VIP little parties down the front here. They're having a great time. Look, Nicole looks like she needs a friend. Can we auction that off? Thank you. Just a donation to the Pink House. Thank you. My Pink House. Thank you very much. I'd also like to do a huge welcome to Councillor Kirsty Della down the back there. Kirsty, thank you for being here. And our very own Councillor Amy Astle, who is on the clock right now, but thank you for being here as well, Amy. Oh, good on you. Thanks, Amy. But I would now like to invite Cindy Sambo to the stage to conduct our Welcome to Country. Cindy is a proud Gubborun woman. She is a Kalgoorlie-Boulder local. She has 3 amazing children, 11 beautiful grandchildren, another one due in May. Give her a round of applause just for that. And her family goes way, way back, and she's been always told that she can, and she's literally standing behind me. God, she's quick, isn't she? So I'm not going to tell you any more about Cindy because Cindy can tell you a little bit about herself, but she is just going to welcome us to this place. Thank you, Cindy.
Thank you, Gloria. And thank you for inviting me.
Pleasure.
My name is Cindy Sambo, as you know, and I'm a proud Gubborun woman from Kalgoorlie. I'm a safety advocate for domestic violence, and I work at Marabini Healing Place, which is a fantastic workplace working with women against domestic violence. So I'd like to begin by acknowledging the traditional owners of the land on which we meet today. I would also like to pay my respects to elders past and present. As Professor Mick Dodson explains, when we talk about traditional country, we mean something beyond the dictionary definition of the word. We might mean homeland or tribal or clan area, and we might mean more than just a place on the map. For us, country is a word for all the values, places, resources, stories and cultural obligations associated with that area and its features. It describes the entirety of our ancestral domains. While they may all no longer necessarily be the title holders to land, Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander Australians are still connected to the country of their ancestors, and most consider themselves the custodians or caretakers of their land. It's a privilege to be here tonight celebrating strong women. This year's International Women's Day theme is Break the Bias, and I would like to share what it means to me personally. I have raised 3 amazing children and have 11 beautiful grandchildren. I have worked in many different roles in the community for many years, but it wasn't until I did some training in my role as safety advocate in the domestic violence area that I realised my own biases. As an Aboriginal woman, when we are born, it is expected that our role is to be the one who takes care of everyone in our family. I did not realise how hard I was being on myself, my daughters, my sisters, nieces, aunties, and any other women in my family. I did not realise how hard I was on women in general. If anything happened to my kids, it was always my fault, and I felt it every time. If anything happened to anyone else's kids, I would blame the mum. Without a second thought, my view was, well, the mother is the one responsible for her kids, so it's her fault. Yet the women in the family are the strong ones. We have to take care of our families, and if anything bad should happen, then the women are the ones who have to be strong and pick up the pieces and hold their family together. It's the women who have to make sure the kids have food to eat, clothes to wear, a bed to sleep in. I now make a conscious effort to stop blaming myself and other women if things go wrong. I tell my daughters and all the women in my family that they are fantastic mums and awesome women and girls, and that anything is possible. It took me a lifetime to see and acknowledge it, the bias towards myself and other women. I will not let that happen to my daughters and granddaughters. We, as strong women, are doing the best we can with what we have. I believe that we are more powerful when we empower each other. You just have to stay positive, work hard, and make it happen. Thank you.
Indeed, thank you so much for that heartfelt welcome, but more importantly, as women, and we can really understand that we are so tough on each other. So thank you for that raw insight and for being here this evening. There's just a little something to say thank you from all of us, and we look forward to having a little bit more of a chat to you at the interval. Thank you.
Thank you, Gloria.
Thank you. Oh gosh, I'm always dropping something. So I too wish to pay my respects to the custodians on the land on which we meet, their elders past, present and emerging. I also would like to acknowledge and respect the continuing culture and contribution to the land, and more importantly what Aboriginal women make to contribute to our life in this city, in this region. Before I go on, I would like to just remind you a few housekeeping announcements. The toilets are in the grandstand just behind the little Nugget coffee van there. Sarah, if you wave, we'll all know where that is. Thank you very much. There is some non-alcoholic refreshments at the bar. Tanya from the KBRC's got that there. My favourite little coffee man's making some coffee over there through Gold Bean Cafe. It's not bad, I think. We'll see. Thank you to Mara Purney for bringing the little nugget down. We really, really appreciate that. In the event of an emergency, please follow the pink ladies down the back, our board. Thank you, ladies, for all that you've done and for being very, very patient with them at the front door. We've just got a new world and it's just going to take us a lag the hell out of it. Amy will tell me off because I don't know what our... Yes, Goldfields Women's Healthcare Centre, #BreakTheBias 2022. The amazing Amber Lily is floating around taking photos. If you don't want your photo to be taken, please let her know. Amber's over here. She's not on the clock today as a Kalgoorlie minor photographer, and we're really pleased to have you here. Thank you, Amber. For our online audience, if you've got any questions, feel free to text us and also who you want to ask, because you'll know the speakers, they're on our Facebook page, to the mobile number 0407 711 445. And a shout out to Chuck for making this possible and donating that service to us. Thanks, Chuck. Now, yeah, give him a clap. Give Chuck a clap. Honestly, yeah, go the allies in the room. And beautiful Reggie, go you, because we really know it's always the woman behind the man, right? It's always the woman, really. A gentle reminder that, and you're doing such a good job, because I believe there's a marshal out there prodding everybody to move 2 metres. She's off the clock. Very lazy, Samantha Doty, but thank you for being here. Life member and #1 marshal, 2 metres apart. That would be really great, because the only contagious thing we want you to take home tonight is your inspiration, right? There's no COVID on my watch, okay? I really now have the absolute immense pleasure. She's disappeared. Oh, hello. Ali Kent, member of Kalgoorlie. It's only taken 20 years. Good one. Well done, Ali. And we'd like to welcome her to the stage just to officially open our event. That is all I'm going to say about you, Ali. I don't need to say any more. I know. You're welcome.
Imagine trying to follow Gloria Moyle onto the stage. I've tried many times. It's just a waste of time. Thank you, everyone, and thank you, Cindy, for that wonderful welcome to country. I'd also like to acknowledge the traditional owners on the land on which we're here today and pay my respects to the elders past, present and emerging. I'm incredibly humbled and privileged to be here today. As an ex-president of this wonderful organisation, I understand and appreciate how much work goes in, day out. It's not just this that people see, but every single day so many women of the goldfields access the services that the Women's Healthcare Centre provides. And it was this very much in my mind when I was running as a candidate and managed to persuade the Premier to put, well, actually it was the Health Minister, who Gloria has the hots for, by the way, to put, Roger Cook, not Amber, just saying, to put $1.8 million into the Women's Healthcare Centre for a permanent GP, a female GP based at the centre. And Gloria, you'll be pleased to know that I've checked today, and the Minister's Office said the first payment will be in the bank by the end of March. So can you just everybody put your hands together and show your appreciation to Gillian, who is the present chair, and Gloria and the board and the staff for putting it out in my inaugural speech in Parliament. I used to feel that I had to justify that statement. But the Oxford definition in the dictionary is advocacy of the rights of women based on the theory of equality of the sexes. So unless you believe that men and women are unequal, then I'd say that most people are feminists. In 2022, we celebrate the gains made towards gender equality and recognise the strong women fighting for change. But make no mistake, more still needs to be done. This International Women's Day, we must all play our part to break the bias. Women and girls in Western Australia deserve no less. All of us have a voice, and we can use it to shine a light on areas where progress is slow. Leading the way in Australia are prominent women that we have come to know very well. Women like Grace Tame, Brittany Higgins, and Christine Holgate. These women have spoken up, shown up, and demonstrated just how powerful a collective voice can be in igniting change. And they are taking it one step further by enacting an alliance called Safety, Respect, Equity. What they said was, 2021 wasn't the first year that Australian women were harassed or unsafe or violated or ignored or disrespected. And it wasn't the first year that women spoke up. But in 2021, more Australians started to listen to the wonderful women of different ages, occupations and beliefs who stood up and spoke out, exposing discrimination, harassment, sexism, disrespect, and intimidation. And the more people listened, the more familiar the story became. The group has released a video that I'd like to share with you now. Amy?
Australia, we need to talk.
2021 was different.
It wasn't the first year that women were harassed, unsafe, violated,
Dehumanised.
Ignored.
Disrespected.
It wasn't the first year that women spoke up. It wasn't the first.
And we say enough is enough, no more, no more. It's not that they don't know what needs to be done, they refuse to do it.
Racism, sexism and discrimination are built into the structures all around us.
In homes, in workplaces everywhere, even in Parliament.
An explosive allegation that throws the spotlight on the culture inside Parliament House.
But 2021 was different.
More Australians started to listen.
The more people listened, the more familiar the story became.
Women right round the country said, this is my story too.
1 out of every 5 women will be sexually assaulted or raped in their lifetime.
If you're a First Nations woman, a woman of colour,
A woman living with a disability or are queer, those stats are even worse.
The simple truth is, I was bullied out of my job.
I remember him saying, don't make a sound. Well, hear me now. Using my voice amongst a growing chorus of voices that will not be silenced.
Australia is riddled with human rights violations and gender-based violence.
And all these stories are connected.
The collective voice that roared in 2021 is not going away.
We want an end to the darkness. We want an end.
I do not want what happened to me to happen to any individual ever again.
We are all here today, not because we want to be here, but because we have to be here.
I'm not fearless. I'm like most women who report these incidents.
We're standing together. We will not be silent.
we're tired of empty promises.
We can educate the future generations of Australia.
And it begins right now.
That's a new Paralympic record.
When we work together, this movement is unstoppable.
We will turn that wave of women's anger into a tsunami of change.
No one should underestimate our passion.
Let's keep fighting for safety, respect, and equity.
Enough is enough.
We must act now.
Let's make some noise, Australia.
Now.
Let's make some noise, Australia.
Every woman in Australia deserves access to a safe place to work, a safe place to live, fair and equal pay, quality-free early learning and care, and a justice system that works for survivors. Create free and accessible early childhood education and care. Expand paid parental leave. Act on the National Plan for First Nations Women and Girls. Deliver strong, consistent child sexual assault laws. Insist employers step up to prevent sexual harassment and bullying. Establish 10 days paid family and domestic violence leave. Support laws to get rid of the gender pay gap.
Powerful stuff, hey? I'm lucky enough not to go through some of the things that those women went through, but how brave. I still get chills when I see Grace Tane standing up there. Sadly, the statistics that they talked about, women in Australia know only too well. And these are statistics that we can't accept. There's been countless reviews and inquiries, promises, but there's been no meaningful change. And we can and we must change those statistics. 12 months ago, I was sitting on the grass, days away from the state election. Thankfully, it's a bit warmer tonight. Gloria, thank you. And thankfully, the result of that 2021 state election meant that WA women have never been more represented in state parliament. 52 women are in Labour caucus. The first Aboriginal woman is in the WA Legislative Council. The 100th woman was elected in Parliament. I was the 101st. The first female speaker in the Legislative Assembly. Imagine that, all this time, and we've only now got a first female speaker. But things are changing. And I know one thing for sure, that by working together, we can create a better future for women and girls that is diverse, equitable, and inclusive. It is what Sisterhood is all about. I urge you to be part of this change. Let your voice be heard. Thank you, and I can't wait to hear from the wonderful women that you've got here this evening. With that, I have the immense pleasure of opening this wonderful event. Thank you very much. Oh, I'm going to lose your notes.
And Bevan Jones is also going to speak tonight, Ali, just so you know. Just so we know, nothing like keeping you informed. Thank you so much for opening and for your unwavering support of the Goldfields Women's Healthcare Centre. It's my absolute privilege to work with you and my privilege to call you my friend. Thank you. Okay, I've lost my glasses. This is going to be a good night, Nicole. No, but thank you, Ali. So she's working for the community, everybody. Well done, Ali. All we need is Prosecco. Right. Okay, here we go. Our second speaker, stop laughing, Nicole, softly, it will eject you. Diane Rowan, the Director of Goldfields Physio, a local business which she purchased in 2007. This led to the 40th year of operation earlier this year, which is 40 years. That is amazing. You don't look a day over 21, Di. I have the pleasure of being on the KBCCI committee with Di. She's an executive member. She's a board member of just about everything in the Goldfields. I'm giving it the wind up because everybody's looking at me and you're ready to rock. She is the West Australian Regional Representative of the Australian Physiotherapy Association Rural Advisory Committee. She's got a Bachelor degrees in Science from Physiotherapy at the University of Alberta. But what was most exciting is when she travelled to UWA, she met the love of her life, Jim, and stayed in Kalgoorlie-Boulder, and that's really all we care about. So well done, No. Upon completion, Di is one of the most passionate people I've ever met about allied health and physiotherapy services and local services. She is such a fierce advocate for better health outcomes for women in the goldfields especially. But more importantly, that little pocket rocket there can pick up fish about 3 times her size and flip them. So she's a champion in Costa Rica. Seriously, wait till you hear her story. Winning the billfish competition in Exmouth, and she's off on another holiday soon. But let me just invite Di Rowan to the stage, and she can tell you a little bit more about herself. Come on up, Di.
Thank you very much for a lovely introduction, Gloria. I was amazed and honored to be asked to speak with you tonight. If I'm truthful, I'm always a little bit surprised that people want to hear me speak. I think that's in part because I've always considered myself a plain Jane, run-of-the-mill kind of girl. But I am told by people that I respect, I admire, and value that perhaps my story is worth sharing. So, I was born in Canada to a very normal and loving family. Mum, dad, and older sister. It was not until I was in primary school that I realized that my family was a bit different. See, my mum and dad were both paraplegic, having contracted polio, another pandemic, before a vaccine was available. I remember in primary school friends asking me why they were in wheelchairs. I would simply say that their legs no longer worked, they had polio, and as kids, that was that, and we kept playing. In fact, when I was young, I think other kids were almost envious because we could have wheelchair races and play games in the wheelchairs, and it was actually pretty bloody cool. But unfortunately, it didn't stay that way. As I grew, I realized that adults didn't view it quite so simply. I got the poor kid whispers. I heard they shouldn't have been allowed to have children. And I think it's horrible. And truthfully, I just actually didn't get it. See, my parents were simply put just bloody amazing at being parents. They would walk, yes, we still actually call it walking, or drive me to the school or park. They went to all the track and field days, maneuvering their chairs over grass, which, if you've ever tried to maneuver a wheelchair, it feels much like biking in the sand. They taught me to swim, volunteered at the school, helped me create science projects, and the like. They really did everything and anything a parent was meant to do. In fact, my parents were more present more often than any of my friends. So I actually don't remember a time that they weren't there. Sure, we did things different. Teaching me to ride a bike meant that my dad would hold the bike at the top of the driveway. And we would take off like hell for leather. And we'd do this like really crazy sharp turn at the end of the drive so that we didn't go careening out onto the road. I thought it was great fun. And then tobogganing, which I know is not actually a thing you do in Australia, but you know, it's sledding in the snow, meant that my parents would bundle me up. One of them would like put me on the toboggan or crazy carpet, which is basically just a piece of plastic, at the top of the hill, and then they watch me go down. And then the other one would drive around the block, down to the bottom of the hill, pick me up, and we do it all again. It was like the best ski lift ever. And then really my sister and I just got strong muscles from pushing wheelchairs on riverbanks so we could go fish or go for hikes on the trails in Canada. And just so I'm clear, they both actually worked full experience of having to become resilient and beat the biases laid down daily at their feet. My sister and I were encouraged and nurtured to try new things, to do the unexpected, and to never accept limits, and just generally strive to accomplish all our dreams. I remember my mum saying to me, there is never such a thing as a perfect time, and that if you wait for that perfect moment, it will never happen. You must create the perfect time, the perfect opportunity, and the perfect situation. Don't talk yourself out of doing something just because it's hard or seemingly impossible or something that someone else thinks you can't do. Because nothing is impossible if you set your mind, your heart, and your actions to it. Yep, good advice. A very wise woman. So when I was in elementary school, I came home crying from being teased because I had a speech impediment and I couldn't say R's. You know, like car. Everything that had an R would come out like caw, and I got horrendously tormented. She comforted me and then pulled out a thesaurus and showed me how many other words I could use for car. And I tell you, I learned a lot of words that a grade 1 kid wouldn't know. But she basically showed me the tools to face a problem and overcome it. And that was just how things went growing up in my family. I learned how to do things, to try things maybe a normal kid wouldn't do. Like being allowed to climb up on the roof to clean gutters. That was Dad's idea, not Mum's. But I did it often. But when I spoke to my parents, I realized that they too saw themselves as very typical people. My dad, who after becoming paralyzed, would modify farming equipment so that he could continue to work the farm for his mum. My dad, who would climb on the top of an oil derrick, remembering he can't actually use his legs, simply because no other able-bodied person was willing, or perhaps they were just a bit too lazy to change a light, and he saw a job that just needed doing. My mom, who was in an iron lung and spent several years being rehabilitated in various hospitals over 1,000 kilometers away from her parents and family as a young child without the benefits of regular visits. My mom, who fought to go to university, having to convince the dean of the university to even just give her a go. And she became the first teacher who was wheelchair bound to teach normal kids. Yep, they still believed they were pretty typical, and maybe that they became resilient because of their parents and my grandparents and my great-grandparents. My Baba, who migrated from Canada, from the Ukraine, my thoughts are with the people in the Ukraine right now, to escape war and poverty, traveled the breadth of Canada all alone to live with a distant relative in a sod house through Canadian winters, settling the untamed Canadian wilderness by hand with her husband, and then raising children as a single mom when her husband died young. My great-grandfather, who was meant to immigrate to Canada on the fated Titanic, only to be saved by the flu, being denied passage. My great-grandmother, who lost a foot and suffered heart damage after gangrene set in following a skiing accident, but still managed to be a skilled horsewoman, work tirelessly on a farm, open a community store, and raise a large family. My grandmother and grandfather, who opened a post office, built a community center, and supported impoverished family during the Great Depression. So perhaps now you can see why I consider myself pretty ordinary. They're hard acts to follow. I have my entire life been surrounded by exceptionally inspiring people who fought and succeeded in overcoming biases and barriers, but it is because of this I have always sought to learn new things, to pursue my passion, and to just never quit. It's just something that isn't done. When I almost broke my neck in a boating accident shortly after completing my physio degree, I just buckled down with the rehab so that I could actually work in the profession I studied in. And I reminded myself that perhaps I needed to go on this journey so that I could help others. When I wanted to become a better physio, I sought out a program I knew that would head me in the right direction I wanted to go, and I was supported even though that program was all the way in Perth, Western Australia. And when I came back home to Canada to tell everyone I had met my husband and was going to migrate to Australia permanently, I don't even think anybody blinked an eye. After settling in Cal and working as a physio, I really believed I could make a difference. I wanted to do health better, differently. I wanted this community to have exceptional services. They saw me purchase Goldfields Physio, and I started to reshape the practice with a vision of health done better. As part of this, I actually expanded our services into the mining and corporate sector, finding that these companies valued my vision, my persistence, my passion, my straightforward personality. And I was blessed to have other people join my team and other organizations like the Goldfields Women's Health Center collaborate with the clinic because they too shared in this vision. And whenever I get the chance, I have advocated for health in regional Australia because it is communities like Cal where life is simply better. But it hasn't all been work, work, work. I love my downtime too. Now, there's no snow in Kalgoorlie. I think we've established that. So snowboarding and tobogganing were out. Kayaking, no, not much of that going on here either. Rock climbing, I'm pretty sure that KCGM wouldn't have been happy to see me scaling the side of the super pit. So I decided to try a few different things, some of them out of my comfort zone, like four-wheel driving, shooting, and sport fishing. However, today I wanted to talk to you about my fishing because it's not something that most women get into. But I love fishing. I love that it takes strength and skill to be able to cast accurately all day, power to be able to reel in fish that are torpedoes of the ocean and at times bigger than I am, patience to let the fish run when all you want to do is crank it in, and humility knowing that sometimes the fish is going to win. Fishing has seen me travel across the world. A few years back, I had the opportunity to compete in the World Championships in Costa Rica, and I was amazed at the caliber of female anglers, even though we were an overwhelming minority. Since then, I have tried to get any woman who is keen to pick up a rod to do so. These past 2 years, I was absolutely stoked to lead an all-female teams in the Billfish Bonanza and the Sailfish Shootout in Exmouth, and I am very proud that this year, not only did we take out top team, we took out top boat overall, competing against anglers, and I have to tell you, most of them were men, who spend more time on boats than they do on land. And it felt great to stand up and know that we did it, and we will continue to get better. So there you have it. That's my story, or at least a little part of it. I encourage you to say yes often, to try new things, to make new choices, and to never quit. Create your own opportunities, and those biases will be broken.
Normally we're very huggy people, Di and I, but we're not. Peace and love. And thank you so much, Di. And if you want to know any more, and I told you, she can lift a fish twice her size. Pretty darn amazing. Thank you, Di, for your story. Thank you for reminding us that we should say yes more often and for getting out of our comfort zone. And also, it's not who you just see. We aren't just who we are today. Everybody's got a backstory, and it's usually pretty darn amazing. So, and speaking of which, bear with me, Bruno, this is flipping around. What's going on? I don't know. What does that mean? Hold it up. I don't know. Jeez, men. No, Bruno actually is one of the longest relationships I've had for a while. And you should know that this microphone should not be what it's doing, Bruno. But anywho, Di, we also had a little gift for you, which I'm sure Carmen's given you, because without Carmen, I don't think the centre could run. So thank you for being you, and how dare you think that you're not interesting? It's about time you got up here and shared your story, and hopefully we all took a little something away from that. Now, because I was totally playing around with this mic, Bruno, I didn't get a chance to put on this amazing mask that was given to me by our next speaker, because if you look at her hair is better than mine and she has a better mask. And you can't let that happen. Tara Rout, where are you? Beautiful. Come up here. I'm going to introduce you anyway. But check her. Oh, you haven't got it on, or have you got it on? Oh, well, mine's better. Yay. No alpha women in this place tonight. Tara, what can I say? Thank God you're here. This is our little rock star that we all see at most events. Thank you. Can you just bring your job? Thank you very much. It's getting a little bit windy up here. Tara McRout, Robbie Rout, or Fizzgig Trout, or anything you want to call her, is pretty almost within reason. Pronouns, come and ask her. But we'll look at this woman. She's a boomerang. Well, not a boomerang actually, because she's 4th generation, born and bred, and she's brought half her family in the middle row over there. Thank you very much for that, Tara. She's a permanent fixture at every community event, and and she brings the energy. I mean, just look at this dress. Fantastic. And look at the hair. Honest to God, we're like twins. She's bought the shoes to match all the bits and pieces that she's given me here this evening. But look, her LinkedIn says that Tara loves her job because it allows her to be her true self. Now, who else can say that here tonight? So, and her day job is the Community Relations Officer, is that right? At Evolution Mining. So how fantastic. But I'm not going to tell you any more about Tara because you all are dying to hear about Tara yourself. But while I'm here, I'm just going to take my water, my coffee, my other mobile, and give you Tara McRobbie Rout. Oh, please don't miss that because I won't know where I'm going. Thank you.
Check 1, 2. Hi. I don't know if I want to stand here or if I'm going to stand over there. So we'll see. I might move around. So tonight I want to break the bias tonight with my hashtag Warrior with Scars. So obviously, as you would have seen in my profile picture, I've kind of already come out of the closet. So tonight it's story time and we're coming out of the library. So let's go. So, I can't actually see. So let's talk about me. So as you can see up here, this is what everyone sees, or this is what I show everybody. No, I can't do this, Bruno. I'm going to have to... That's it. That's better. Sorry, I can't do that. So this is me. So tonight I want to explain to you exactly what the connection of these pictures are. Hit it, Amy. So where it all began, 29th of October, was supposed to be born on the 2nd of January. Didn't really want to be a Capricorn or a unicorn. I actually thought a Capricorn was a unicorn star sign, but it's not. And I actually am a Scorpio because I wanted to come out pretty quickly. So yeah, date to be determined. You know, I kind of don't really like my date. I don't view myself as age as a number. So it all started when my mum met my dad. I'm their second daughter that they had, which I will get to. Born and bred in Kalgoorlie, although I would like to say that I wasn't. I had my very first class flight with the Royal Flying Doctors to Perth. Was born in King Eddie, so was a very rushed trip to Perth, and they didn't even feed me on the plane. Can you believe that? Like, seriously. So yeah, I'm a little regular frequent flyer with the Royal Flying Doctors Service, and so started my life a little bit early. I did bring a doll with me, and I have been told that I need to potentially stretch it just a little bit, but this is how big I was. Apparently a couple of inches maybe bigger, but I will get to that. But this is my first prop. I nearly walked out of the house with it. So, Gloria does have some tissues over here. I have one in my bra somewhere. It's in there somewhere. So, I would like to show you some amazing, cute, just ask my dad, baby photos of me, which I will show you. I do want to tell you as well, though, I do have a few trigger warnings in my slide. For those of you that are a little bit sensitive, I will let you know that previous slides moving forward are of obviously family members that have passed, but I do have a few trigger warnings in my slide to warn you. Am I cute? Aren't I gorgeous? I know, right? Ask my dad. They actually said that. They're like, oh my God, isn't she cute? Oh, if you think she's cute, then yeah, she's really cute. I'm ugly. I am an ugly baby. So this was previously to when I had fluid everywhere all over me. Apparently I lost a couple of kilos. Best diet ever. So I then shrunk down to my doll size. I didn't fit in premature clothing. It was too big, far too big for me. Quick question though, Do the tubes make my head look big in that one, do you think? Like, have I kind of normalised out a little bit? So yeah, gross baby, really, really gross. So I spent the first couple of months in King Eddie. I was, again, like working up those points, in the little ICU with, like, don't touch me, don't want to be touched, just feed me. So yes, I went from this to this. This is my sister. So my story is I was born with complete heart block. My mum did have a disease which attacked both my sister and I, which attacked our hearts and our vital organs. So this chick right here, so she's the one with the little arrow on the very right-hand side. Her name is Kira. Floss to my dad. So she got Floss, I got Fizz. That's our little thing. So unfortunately, Floss passed exactly 3 weeks before her 3rd birthday. She was at home with my dad, had a fit, her heart potentially stopped beating, they got it back together again. She then had her first Royal Flying Doctor's Service to Perth. Unfortunately, she didn't make it to Perth. They then spun around and come back because she was DOA. I'm actually very lucky to have spoken to the lady who actually received that phone call from the Royal Flying Doctor's Service for the call to be like, unfortunately, we're turning around. There is nothing we can do. We can't do anything. So this is where my journey started to take place with my my Warriors with Scars journey. I found this little trinket somewhere, and it was I think it says sisters are bonded by hearts together or whatever, and I do. We are 100% connected. So this warrior right here, which you obviously can't see, she was running at 8 months. Save that bookmark for later when I come back to another slide. Head it, Amy. So, not my x-ray. So, after my sister passed, I got my first lot of surgeries, which was a pacemaker. Lucky me. So, this is not my x-ray. It wasn't actually put up the top here. It was put behind my stomach. So, when I was born, I've got a beautiful zipper that starts from here to about here. So, they put it behind my stomach so that when I was a baby, if I fell over, I couldn't scratch it, etc., etc. Again, another bookmark. Save that for later. So, had my first lot of surgeries. I was great. Now, one thing with this one as well. Now, if you got your tissues ready. I had my very first holiday when I was 18 months old. It was great. I got shipped again, Royal Flying Doctor's Service. Frequent flyer I am. To Perth. I then got stuck in Perth on my own. So I was left in hospital by myself. And I had a conversation with my mum. I'm kind of like, oh, you left me. To my mum then replied with, yeah. I had to plan your sister's funeral, so I had to kind of leave you to then come back. But you were with all the nurses in the hospital, which were kind of like, we'll look after her. So I was in great hands, never got left alone at all. So yeah, so that's where my very first scar started. Next one. This is what a pacemaker looks like. My new one currently sits just here. Yes, you can feel it. Yes, you can feel it later on if you want to. So it's a groovy little piece of material. So it just sits underneath the skin, got lots of wires, everything's connected. It's like a never-ending battery, which I am. I'm waiting for this one to die. It just won't die. I'm like, can you just give me an expiration date? So I think I'm now up to 5. Mum got her learner plates with a pacemaker. Woo! I think it's 2000 and something. I can't remember. 17, 14, 15. I don't know. Mum got her learner plate. So she got her very first pacemaker. I'm like, how exciting, Mum. We can be like twins, but you're a learner. I've had mine for a very long time. Got like the MC license of pacemakers. You're just a learner. So this is what mine is. And this was my very first kind of like, oh, this is groovy. When I was 3, don't remember a lot when I was younger, but when I was 3, I thought it was groovy to have it up here. I could turn it. So I turned it. Mum, check it out. I can turn my pacemaker. How cool is this? Obviously, as you can imagine, my mum's stomach's kind of like, really? Can you just not touch it? But how cool is this? No one else can do this. I can. I thought it was cool until the wires broke. So, moving forward, this is my lovely wife. She is in the crowd. You will spot her. She is one of the other women that are in my life. So my parents are amazing. My family is amazing. I'm very lucky for this lady to walk into Debo's one night, and I just kind of had to spot her and be like, hey, let's go for a drink. So this lady has been through so much with me. I really, really do feel so sorry for her. I swear. She was the one that asked me. If anyone does ask, she asked me to marry her. So kind of it's her fault to begin with. So when I was writing this, it was actually very, very coincidental. This is our wedding photo. And again, another bookmark. I look amazing. She looks amazing. It was a great day. Worst day. Nothing went to plan. You know, like you plan your wedding for like 18 months. Nothing went to plan whatsoever. When I was writing this slide, our wedding song is Shine Bright Like a Diamond with Rihanna. And I have put it on the slide, I think, because the song magically just started playing. And I was like, oh, isn't that sweet? Lisa's thinking of me at work. So this lady has been through so much. Right. So I think, married life had me like, yep, do you know what? How exciting. Let's, I think I've got maybe one slide is in there incorrect. So that's okay. Yes. No, go back one. Sorry. Next set of surgeries is this. So I would like to talk to you ladies today about our ovaries and how great they are, and let's have babies and let's have children and all that kind of stuff. Well, mine don't work. Mine are like that. Nothing works. We went to go and see someone again, more surgeries to kind of fix it, etc., etc. We fixed it. Awesome. Next slide. Married life had me like, let's have babies. We thought we'd fix the problem so we could have babies. How exciting. IVF, it's so exciting. Absolutely would love to. So then I was kind of like, yep, do you know what? Let's do IVF. Let's go and have a gastric sleeve so we can actually get my BMI underneath what I need to. I definitely did not look this fabulous on my wedding day, that's for sure. So, but again, every time when I think about having my gastric sleeve done, it was like, oh, you had the easy way out of like losing weight. It is not easy at all, 100%. The amount of times I have been in hospital for my gastric sleeve, it is ridiculous. So finally got my BMI down. Again, I would like to put a trigger warning up for the next one. We went to our cardiologist to do IVF, to start freezing embryos, absolutely everything. Let's make a baby. Let's have a family. To then walk into my surgeon's office to be told that you've got 2 aneurysms on your heart. Your aneurysm on your aorta is the size of your fist. Your heart should be the size of your fist. My aorta should be the size of your thumb. My aneurysm was as big as my fist. You have 2. It was kind of like, oh, right, we might have to sort that out, hey. So my surgeon was completely emotionless. We went in like, how exciting, let's just get cleared so we can make a baby. How about we clear you so you can have a zipper? It was the most petrifying time on my life. Again, trigger warning, if anyone would like to leave, that is totally fine, I do not mind. I had open heart surgery to fix my aneurysms, both of them. And this not only was traumatic on its own, I then also had to catch up with one of my friends to be like, hey, who she cannot be on, but I'm hoping she's online listening to this. I'm like, Emma, do you reckon we can write my funeral? She's like, yeah, sure. Really? And I was like, yep, I would like to plan my funeral, please. Right down to the very last, what I'm going to wear, what I'm going to have on, who's going to walk with me, what songs we're playing. Valentine's Day, again with my wife. What a beautiful day. We signed our will. How exciting. How would you like to be cremated or buried on Valentine's Day? Everyone would say to us, what did you do for Valentine's Day? I signed my will. I signed my life away on a piece of paper in case I didn't wake up from this surgery. The Titanic is on here. The reason why that is on there, ladies and gentlemen, I got to watch my surgery of them removing my aneurysms. That is amazing. I'm a huge Grey's Anatomy fan person. It is nothing like that. So it was amazing. I saw this video and I was like, how exciting. Oh my God, that's my heart. My surgeon's kind of like, that's your aneurysm. Your heart's underneath. Then when I finally got to see my heart, I'm like, oh, wow, look at that. But again, sorry, the Titanic. My surgeon ripped my chest open and he literally looked and it was kind of like, how are you living? You have got so much calcification around your heart. It is ridiculous. They had to get bone cutters to cut the calcification that was around my heart just so that they could get to everything else. Because I have so many leads that were in there, the calcification built up. That is exactly what I looked like. My surgeon at the beginning was emotionless, had no emotions whatsoever. I cracked a smile out of that dude when he came for my pre-op. I'm like, did you like what you see? Did you like it? It was pretty cool. Was it awesome? Loved it. So, again, this now from my open heart surgery is I have a lot of stuff that I cannot do. A lot. Please notice I cannot eat kale anymore. So, and I always tell my wife, no one ever tells me what to do. No one. Except for my 5:15 warfarin alarm. That girl, she tells me exactly what to do every day. If you have not taken your alarm, you do not turn her off. So I'm a frequent flyer at the emergency department because I am on warfarin. I need to make sure that my blood is thin enough because I now also have a mechanical valve in there as well. So I need to make sure that my blood is thin enough so that my valve can tick. And does anyone have like those annoying clocks and you just like smash the clock, like it's just so loud? Yeah, I live with that every day, every second in my ear. Unreal. The other day I took a video and I actually recorded it and sent it to my wife. I heard my valve on the video and then again in my ear. I was like, wow, that is annoying. So it ticks and it's just an annoying tick. But then when you don't hear it, you're like, where's the tick? So, again, I carry Band-Aids because if I cut myself with a paper cut, it's like Friday the 13th in our kitchen. My wife comes home, she's like, what did you do? And I was like, oh, I cut over an apple. It's like a tiny little cut, but there's like a tea towel full of blood. I'm a frequent flyer, as you know, with the ED department, with the hospital, with pathology. We are first name basis. I'm like, hi, Tara here. How are you? Let's go. There is a lot of stuff that I can't do, but again, there is a lot of stuff that I can do. I can be this amazing. So I am a warrior with scars. I am not a survivor. As a survivor is someone who is a victim in my eyes. I am no victim of anything. There are many other issues that I've got going on with my life. There is so much more that is going on, but everyone sees this and all of that makes this. And that makes this so much stronger and so much more powerful. And I'm so thankful for Gloria for asking me to come out and speak to you tonight. I do have some music that I would like to play with you. So every time when I was having my surgery, I had to swap to an injectable blood thinner. I hate needles. So I had to, you can do this. You can jab yourself. Just do it. And then I'd be like, Mom, can you just do it? And she's like, you can do it. So I had to pump myself up. So this is what I utilized as my motivational music.
Let's Marvin Gaye and get it on.
Wrong song, Bruno. Wrong song.
Let's Marvin.
We will get there, ladies and gentlemen. We will get there. Hit it. Right, this is my song.
I'm a survivor. I'm not gonna give up. I'm not gonna stop. I'm gonna work harder.
That song is on repeat every time I need to jab myself. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for having me as your speaker tonight. I am Tara McRobbie-Rout, or whatever you would like to call me, just not late for dinner. Thank you for letting me be up here. I am fabulous and I will always be fabulous and I will always double lash. Thank you.
Round of applause for the Fizz. Wait, honest to God, she's amazing. I thought you were a real pocket rocket before, but you know, rock star. Who knew? Lisa, oh my God, she deserves a medal being your wife. Could you? Thank you for sharing you with me. Thank you so much for sharing that story. Like I said, everybody's seen Tara. I've had the pleasure of watching her grow up, so that just shows you how old I am. And wow. Amazing. We need to stay with us, people, stay with us. We have got last year's speaker, actually. It might have been the year before, SJ. I can't remember. The years are merging. I can't even see you in the darkness. Thank you for speaking because it's a bit bright down here. The Golfers Women's Healthcare Centre had been awarded $80,000, but don't think that we still don't want your money, people. So remember when you see the pink tins. No, we've been very, very fortunate to have a lot of hard work has been paying off over the last couple of years. And this is to do with the Creative Communities COVID Recovery Program. But it's actually to support 130 women in 130 Years project. Now, Sarah Jane Eales, who's Nana, is actually one of our founders. So how darn lucky are we to have that sort of generational heritage here in the Goldfields? She's going to come and tell you about this project, and we're really, really proud to be a part of it. And then she can also give you an insight as to how you can all get involved. So SJ, I'm sure you're coming up, right? And the team, hello, how are you? Kelly and Carol, come on up. Oh yeah, give them a round of applause.
I can't see, that's fine. We'll just do the notes there. Thank you. And Tara, that's amazing. I've always thought you're pretty awesome, but wow, I'm in awe of you after that one. So thank you, Gloria, as well. We're here to talk about the 130 Women Project. As Gloria said, we all got together. There was myself, Gloria, Women's Health, and we had 4 artists, Linda Ray, who can't be here tonight, Carol Thompson and Kelly Arcur. We come up with the 130 women. We put in an application, and yes, we got over 80 grand from the Department of Local Government, Sport and Community, yes. So, yeah, I'm doing a great job here. That's great. So what is 130 Women? So we came up with the project because we were looking at our history, and there's not really a lot of acknowledgement of women's contributions in our local history. So we've got the street names and the buildings named after men, but we don't always know about a lot of the women who were right beside them at the same time, doing just as much, if not more, with even more adversity. So we decided to come up with this project to help recognise and celebrate those stories. Why 130? Because Kalgoorlie turns 130 next year, so we'll be able to have a little bit of symmetry that way. So part of the project is that we're going to spend the next couple of months creating a lot of events, community engagement. We'll be launching the project so that people can actually include the women they think should be included as well. I'm doing a terrible job at this, really terrible. So basically, we want to get a grassroots campaign happening with the 4 artists, myself, Goldfields Women's Health. We have multiple partners who will be supporting this event. Our first proper launch, event will be at the Museum of Business After Hours on the 21st of March, and that's where we'll explain the project a lot more, because honestly we could talk about it all night. Amy, if you can show some of the women we've got up here. On the video here is just some of the women. We've just started to scratch the surface. These are women who they ran stations, trained horses for the Light Horse Brigade, worked in remote communities. One woman was a beer brewer, a very famous business person who was actually made beer that was selling better than Swan Brewery. Lobbied for maternity wards, better rights, and also, yes, my nana, who was one of the women who was helped start the Women's Health Organisation way back when with Lorna Mitchell and a few others. At the time, one of the doctors actually said to him, "What do you women need a women's health for? You've just got us doctors." So they persevered. I believe they actually got a small donation from the Lioness Club so they could actually start writing letters and postage. So they had to get a donation before they could even fundraise. I'm sorry about this with my notes. And while I've been talking, I'm sure many of you out there actually comes to mind a woman that you can think of that should be included in this project. And they're the stories we would like to hear. There will be a website soon. There'll be many more events. And we really want to hear these stories. And so I'd just like to introduce Kelly, who's not talking, Linda, who couldn't be here, and Carol, who would like to share some of these stories of women as well.
Hi there, my name is Carol Thompson. I'm a Goldfields person. I was born in Norseman down the road. I am one of 13 children. I am number 12, almost the baby. I just want to talk a little bit about my mum as a person who, that I look up to and just wanted to talk about, I guess. For my mum, she, having 13 children and also passing away at 43 years old age, it was a huge thing. When my mum died, I was only 8 years old, and my sister Pauline, who was the baby, was only 7. The smallest 5 children in my family, were still wards of the state. So luckily we had family who could take us in after Mum passed away. My dad actually worked on the farms in Esperance, doing a lot of farm work, so he wasn't really able to look after us. So I went to live in Northern with my sister Christine and her husband, then partner Wong, whose real name is Alan. And yes, we just grew up, had a totally different life to living here prior to my sister and brother-in-law taking us in. Mum died here in Cal, and at the same time she was quite ill. She taught Pauline and I a lot of stuff that the older brothers and sisters probably didn't get a chance to, but then we had a short amount of time. My oldest brothers and sisters were taken away. They were put into a car and offered lollies in a black car and taken off to the Northern Mission, and they were to stay in the Northern Mission for 6 years. The youngest out of the 6 was Christine, who brought us up, and she was 6 months old at the time. After Mum trying to get the kids out for a while, she also managed to have 2 more children in Gawlia, who were also taken away, but they were taken away and put into foster care in Perth, never to return to my mum. So one of the things Mum always said to us is, don't ever forget that you got 2 sisters out there, you go out and find them one day. Which we did. I was 13 when we got to meet our sisters. One of our sisters, Jenny, managed to get hold of some welfare papers and got hold of the family, and we all had a meeting. So it was an interesting time. The first 6 children who were put in the mission, my father came along, who happened to be not an Aboriginal man. He was a white man, and he was able with Mum to get the 6 children out of the mission, and they grew up in Esperance. So in my time I've lived in many places, including Bandy Creek, Norseman, Castletown. I've lived out in Gibson. These are part of the schools that we went to as well. Widgie-Multha, I lived there, Coolgardie, Perth, Highgate, back here in Norseman, Kambalda. So I've been around, and I just wanted to sort of highlight my mum, because I know she struggled with not having her girls returned, and she, I think, would have been so proud of all of us today had she still been here. And I just wanted to sort of contribute that to my mum and say thanks. Bye.
Yes, so thank you very much for sharing, and this is what the 130 Women Project is all about. It's about collecting, recognising and celebrating the stories of the women who have basically made us who we are and have improved our communities. So you'll be hearing a lot more about it. You'll be seeing us everywhere. This will be rolling out over the next 12 months, and we really hope we get everyone's support, and we can't wait to hear your stories. Thank you very much, and thank you Women's Health for championing this project.
Thank you all so very, very much. Now it's time for a little bit of a break. So please feel free to get up, move around. If you could, please remember to keep your distance and sanitise regularly, if you could, please. Also, hand sanitizer, thank you very much. Before we invite Maria back to sing us another set, I just want to thank our sponsors, because without them we couldn't put on an event like this. So thank you to the KBRC, the City of Kalgoorlie-Boulder, Northern Star, Remote Digital Imagery, who's blinding me at the moment, Chuck, blinding. Last year couldn't see me, now you can't see me, you can see me everywhere. Thank you, Chuck. Bruno from BMG, we've got the Pop Culture, as I said earlier, Ali Kent, MLA, and the beautiful Marpurnie Nugget coffee van down the back, and Hope Community Services, thank you. Now feel free just to get up. We've got probably a 10-15 minute break, and then we will hear from some more of our inspiring speakers. So anybody online, don't go too far away, and as I said, please text us any questions. If we've got some time, we will have a few panel discussions, but obviously we're not having our comfy little lounges anymore. We'll all just be coming to the floor, and we'll bring a microphone to you guys over here if you've got any questions. So thank you so much. And Maria, if you're out there somewhere, if you'd like to, I can't see. thing. Good God. There she is. Thank you so much. What a wonderful first half, and we'll see you again shortly. Breaking the bias.
I feel lucky to work in an environment where I'm judged on my merits, interacted with, and held to the same standards as everyone else. We all have a job to do. As a team of different individuals, we work together to be successful.
Imagine a gender-equal world.
A world free of bias, stereotypes and discrimination.
Equitable and inclusive.
World where difference is valued and celebrated.
Together we can forge women's equality.
Together we can forge women's equality.
Together we can forge women's equality.
Collectively, we can all break the bias.
Isn't she lovely? Isn't she wonderful? Isn't she precious? Less than 1 minute old, and I never thought true love would be making one so cliche. But isn't she lovely? Made from love.
Breaking the bias.
Isn't she pretty?
I
Truly
feel lucky to work in an environment where I'm judged on my merits, interacted with, and held to the same standards as everyone else. We all have a job to do. As a team of different individuals, we work together to be successful.
And I can't believe
Imagine a gender-equal world.
through life he's given
A
life
world free
to
of
one.
bias, stereotypes and
Isn't she
discrimination.
lovely? Made from love.
World that is diverse, equitable, and inclusive.
World where difference is valued and celebrated.
Together we can forge women's equality.
And I can't believe what God has done.
Together we
Through
can
life
forge
he's
women's
given
equality.
life to one. But isn't she lovely?
Collectively, we can all break the bias.
From love.
Bias is a wall. Every word is a brick. Saliva is cement hardening the way that
When
we
the
think
night
about gender.
has come
A wall that
and the land
separates
is
us
dark
from the
and the moon is the only light we'll see.
Sunsets.
No, I won't
Tries to stop
be afraid.
hurricane
No,
is
I
A
won't.
powered girl can lead the world into change, and she can guide us into a place that's new. This is a poem to you. Let's break the bias. Bias is a wall that justifies someone laying their hands on their partner When a woman wears bruises around her neck like perfume, it doesn't start with a fist. It starts with an idea that we hold or assume. Ideas like, women don't deserve to be in a presidential seat, but when a baby is born, a woman is the first leader that they meet. Or a woman shouldn't get the job simply because of a name on a resume. Or talking over a little girl because you don't see value in what she has to say. Or that women of color are aggressive. When I think we're just strong. And it is our strength that has the power to transform a scream into a song. An empowered girl is a lit matchstick that can burn into a fire. We need to knock down this wall so she can climb onto the rubble and stand higher. Let's break the bias. We can break the bias by knocking it down brick by brick. We can start by diversifying the friends that we pick. We can become conscious of our bias, conscious of the way that we treat people because of their age, education, or gender. It is through being conscious that a timber heart can become tender. We can remember that being biased doesn't make you a bad person. You can knock down a wall and turn it into stairs. It is through having the courage to confront your prejudice that you can show the world that you care. The future is calling on you to shape it. Will you be there? Let's break the bias.
Should we get Bruno? Hi everybody, and let's put our hands together for the beautiful Maria for always being our #1 supporter when, well, #2, Henry's gone walkabout, but we'll get her back soon. Maria, when Carmen Thierry gets her act together, no, she's good. Life member Carmen Thierry, everybody. Without Carmen, we'd have no organisation. Thank you so much for all that you do for us and donating your time. Just a little something to say thank you. Let's go chop chop, Carmen. No, kidding. Thank you so much. So we will just wind back up, get back to our beautiful positions over here. These girls look like they're having a fantastic time, and what a wonderful little who is it from, Carmen? Pitch party? You know, picture party, like pamper, something with a P. Beautiful Nicola. That's how you all won, because the name's Nicola, right? It was rigged. So just hand her a 50 next time you see us. Or better yet, don't put it in the pink tins, St Ives. Get online, www.gwhcc.org.au. But thank you for wanting to put money in there for us. Best $20 investment you'll ever spend. Okay, Rob Thompson and the amazing Goldfields Giants team have been patiently sitting down the back there. And for all of you who've enjoyed, thank you, Bruno, who've enjoyed the evening so far, we all know how much we love our homegrown talent. We have so much here today, and we have our very first ladies, or women's actually, NBL1 team. So I'm sure they're heading down here, because I can't see a thing because Chuck's trying to blind me. But here they come, I think. Hey. Thank you so much, not only for being awesome basketball players, but Rob, tell us all about what's happening. I'm going to hand over to you.
Yeah, so it's a very exciting time for the Goldfields Giants. For 30 odd years, we've had a men's team in the NBL1 competition, and over particularly the last 12 months, we've worked really hard off the court, and we've been promoted to the NBL1 this season for the very first time for our region. So it's a wonderful achievement. And for us, you know, it was an extensive process that we went through off the court. It was a 44-page document to, you know, convince Basketball Western Australia that, you know, the Goldfields is ready for the women's team and that we can support them. And, you know, with all our sponsors and, you know, everyone has been just amazing with, you know, their support to get us over the line. And not only that, but we had to do our bit on the court as well. So last season we were playing in the competition below the NBL1 West, and you know, the ladies finished minor premiers and unfortunately lost the grand final. But just the courage that it took for you know, the women to push to get a female team to represent the Goldfields has been second to none. And you know, as Gloria said, we've got so many local talented players that deserve the opportunity to play at the next level. And you know, in the past, there's been a lot of players like Darcy Garvin, who is currently part of the Australian Opals team, and you got Mackenzie Clinch-Hoycart, who's had to move down to Perth to further her career. And you know, going back a few years ago, the Bourne sisters, you know, they had to leave the region to further their careers, and now we've got the opportunity that for our talented local players, they get the opportunity to showcase their skills for the Goldfields Giants. So it's a really exciting time. This time in 4 weeks' time, it'll be game eve. It'll be our first game on the 9th of April, and we can't wait for it. So there's a lot of training going on, and but part of us being accepted into the NBL1, we're very inexperienced, and we've got a young team, so we had to go out and as part of the rules of NBL1, we're allowed to get a couple of imports, and we're lucky enough to have Amanda Wayman tonight, our first import from the US, and we've got another import in Danielle McRae coming in a couple of weeks' time. So I'm going to hand it over to Amanda just to talk about a bit about her journey and what she does. And but yeah, we really appreciate all the support, and we can't wait to get out there in just over a month's time.
So when he told me that I had to do a public speaking, I was like, I got to get a new plane ticket and go back home. No, I'm really grateful to be here and just represent this team. I'm really excited to be in this small town. You can already tell that you guys have great, powerful women, and you built a great community among yourselves. And he kind of just asked me to just talk about something that I'm really passionate about. And besides basketball, since he's kind of covered all that, I'm very passionate about fitness and personal training. So for these 6 months, I'll kind of be in the community working with some people one-on-one, working at Courts Fitness and Nutrition. And the reason why I am so passionate about fitness is because it took me a long time to get to this healthy relationship with fitness. As women, we all face the same thing, thinking we have to be a certain look or be a certain type of body type. And that's something I went through when I was first getting into fitness. I felt like I needed to fit this ideal image that everyone paints in our minds as women. And once I got into coaching and doing some personal training, I took a step back and I realized how toxic this was a thinking. And I wanted to embrace that fitness can be all types of body types. It doesn't have to be just being skinny or being a certain body type. And so that's why I get so passionate about it, because I want women to excel in fitness, want to do fitness, take time out of their day to put themselves first. I think as mothers and as women, we always put other people in front of ourselves, and it's good to see people come into the gym and just put themselves first and kind of reach these goals that they never thought they could reach previously. And that's why I'm so passionate about it. So it'll be fun to just reach out to the community, see maybe some of you, if they stop in the gym, or see you guys at our court watching our games. I've got a lot of expectations for these next 6 months. I've got a young team, but young team means lots of high energy, and they're good at listening. Anyways, thanks so much for letting me speak tonight, and have a good night.
Yeah, so just a big thanks to Gloria for inviting us. You know, for us, it's all about getting the exposure for, you know, the women's team. And as I said a bit earlier, there's always been a lot of focus on the men. And finally, you know, we're knocking them off on the back page of the Kalmina, and, you know, and we're on Triple M and the ABC with their radio interviews and things like that. So it's a real opportunity for our local team and this community to support the Goldfields Giants. Thank you.
Awesome. Now, just before you go, Rob, you said young, but what is going on over there? Finally, basketball players that I'm taller than. They're your girls, aren't they? Yeah. Thank you so much. Lovely to meet you, everybody. What are we all doing on the 9th of April? I think we're going to go and support these guys down at the basketball stadium. I'm sure that the Giants would love to let us all in for free. No, I'll talk to Rudd. They won't. Look, they will. Just tell them I said they love that when that happens. But no, let's get behind NBL 1 ladies team, because they are going to do amazing things. Thank you so much for being here tonight. No, really, we're coming for free, Rob. Make that happen. Yep. Just tell Russell. Oh, tell Tags. Yeah, tell Tags. Yeah, we're coming. Okay, everybody. And thank you. And finally, people I'm taller than. I'm really quite happy about that. So, bear with me, we're nearly there, and what an evening it's been. Have you enjoyed our speakers, everybody? Well, the best is still yet to come. I say that, but not really. They've all been amazing. But we do have our keynote, and also just a little somebody. He's very, very brave. Another one of the brave men that are here today, and he indulges me at quite a few events, and I'm very grateful to have him here this evening. But before we go there, I want to just share a little something. While I was stalking Tara's LinkedIn, I saw something, and it said, it was a sign with a heap of men, doing a protest, and we all love a good protest, don't we? But it said, respect, it says, men of quality respect women's equality. So have a real good think about that. And yeah, that's good, thank you. Thank you, my number one supporter. I feel that this is very relevant, actually, to Bevan Jones. Bevan began his mining career here in Kalgoorlie-Boulder as a project engineer back at Jubilee mine site in the roaring 90s. We all remember those days, guys, don't we? Nicole remembers those. I remember those days. Long time ago. In the years that followed, his highly coveted skills and expertise led him on various mining projects across Australia and then the world. He has worked in New South Wales, Queensland, Papua New Guinea, Mongolia, Indonesia, Zambia, Ghana, and many other places. His versatility and know-how has seen him in mine management leadership roles, and that's a very long word that Bevan may need to explain to me later because I'm not an engineer. He has had a broad background in a wide range of commodities: gold, silver, zinc even, coal, iron ore, and many, many more in many remote places all over isolated locations in the world. But before returning to Australia, his last role was the Chief Operating Officer at BCM Group, based in Ghana, with multiple operations in West Africa and the Middle East. In 2019 even, he returned to Western Australia after a long absence. He prides himself on the ability to maintain and create positive business relationships and stakeholders with all walks of life and backgrounds. He has a very long passion and a very long bio. He's a very passionate fisherman and boating enthusiast, a bit like our Di that was on here earlier, when he is happiest out in the ocean releasing game fish with his family and friends. Bevan has a gorgeous wife, Rebecca, and 4 adult children who enjoy the outdoors and get out there whenever they can. But I just want to invite to this podium Bevan Jones, the General Manager of Goldfields St Ives, and one very brave man, our inaugural male speaker. So give him a bit of a round of applause. He's very brave. He brought his own crowd. Thank you, Bevan.
Thank you very much, Gloria. Okay, so first of all, I'd like to say thank you to Gloria for inviting me to talk tonight. It has been, she asked me to talk like sometime last year, and it's been the most nerve-wracking period between that point to now. And I've spoken to lots of people and often to CEO level type people, and I've never ever been as nervous as what I am now. So I'll have to ask you to forgive me if and then on top of that, I can only just see the presentation. But anyway, we'll give it a go, hey? So what, if we go to the next slide, just to give you a bit of a background, when Gloria asked me to speak here tonight, because it's topics could be very broad. I asked her to nail it down, and what she actually said to me was, "Can you please talk on your perspective as a father of girls, what it would be like for them to be working in the mining industry, and also how I would be how I lead a diverse and inclusive team." And so. To kick off, I guess what I'll do is I'll introduce you to my family. But before I do that, I'll talk about as a father of girls. And I have to say to you, Gloria, that was where you sort of deviated from being correct. Because just being the father of girls doesn't make you a person that should be standing up here talking to women about International Women's Day. In fact, all it does mean is that you have some children. Now, but I will talk about being a leader of people. And I look at my family as a bunch of people that are closely connected to me, obviously. And I've always treated them, regardless of whether they're boys or girls, very evenly. Now, sometimes that would be good and sometimes that would be bad. Because there's a high level of accountability at our house. But just to kick off this conversation, I'll ask you to look at the left hand, or the far, which is to my right, your left. That's my 4 children there. Hannah, Bethany, Ben, and Megan and you can see they're all dressed up like little miners. And so that photo was taken in South Kalimantan in Indonesia when I was project manager at a coal mine. And so I've been very, very fortunate. Whilst I did work overseas, in most cases, my family were able to come with me. And so they often weren't able to work on the mine, and so I sort of did FIFO, in-country FIFO most of the time. On the right-hand side, there's a photo that was taken in Papua New Guinea a few years later in 2014. And Rebecca, my beautiful wife, who's sitting over here, is featured on that photo, and then there's Hannah and Bethany on the right-hand side. Now Bethany's also here tonight, and Bethany just happens to be an engineering student, and she's in the second year. She did first year in Perth at Curtin, and this year she's attending WASM. So you can see my family has pretty much been involved in the mining industry by association all their lives. If we go to the next slide. I just wanted to quickly talk. Now you're going to hear some more fishing stories, and look, if you get me started on this, it could be a very long talk. But what I wanted to bring to everyone's attention is that if you look on the left-hand side, there's a photo there with Bethany, myself, and Hannah in Costa Rica. As you see, Costa Rica is a very important place in the world to do bill fishing, and that's us fishing together. There's actually all three of us are hooked up there. So in our household, if you wanted to spend time with your dad, who's time poor, you really have no choice but to do what he likes to do. And so we spent a lot of time on the water fishing because it was a good spot for us to be a family together. If you look at the middle photo, that's my daughter Hannah. She lives in Brisbane. She's holding a barramundi that's 106 centimetres long. Now, for anybody who knows about fishing, is that the holy grail of barramundi fishing is catching a 1 metre long barramundi. There's quite a story for this. Now, I was working in Papua New Guinea at the time, and I was invited to go on this fishing trip. The river that we're on there is actually on the border between Irian Jaya, so Indonesia, and Papua New Guinea. And it's very difficult to get into this fishing spot, and there's awesome fishing there. And we booked 2 places. And my daughter Hannah, she was in boarding school in Brisbane, and I picked up the phone and said, "Listen, Hannah, I want to take you fishing in Papua New Guinea." And she went, "Yeah, okay, no worries, but I'm at school." And so we cooked up a story to tell the school to say that it's a great cultural experience to go to this unusual location in Papua New Guinea. And she said, "But Dad, I've never fished for barramundi before." And so I got online onto BCF, and I ordered a fishing rod and a bait caster reel and a lure, and I got posted to the boarding house, and I said, "Here's a link. Learn." And so she looked up on the link and learned to do one of the most tricky sorts of fishing, just by picking up the fishing rod and having a go. And so when she came along, and she looked, to be honest, if you speak to her today, she's scarred for life. But that's not from the fishing. That's more that she felt that they didn't feed her enough, and she didn't like cold showers. But she was able to catch that 106 centimetre barramundi. And look, as a father, I'm seriously proud of the work that she did there. The third photo is a photo of Hannah, Bethany, and Rebecca on our boat in Papua New Guinea. And so what happened was, when we're in Papua New Guinea, it's not the greatest place for things to do. And where we were living, you either did golf or you went fishing. And so we bought. I've always liked fishing, but Rebecca and the kids sort of, they're sort of interested. But there was nothing else to do. Okay, so I said, why don't we start fishing? And Rebecca, look, she's game. Okay, so she took it up. She doesn't like boats, and she doesn't like fishing out at sea. And so this photo, look, wherever we fished in Papua New Guinea, you could hardly see the land, we're miles off. So, but what the most important part of this picture for me is that that's my all-girl fishing crew. And so we, as it was discussed before, game fishing is a very male-orientated sport. And I was lucky to have my own portable women's team that competed in the national titles and various other competitions. And I'm very, very proud of them. That's Rebecca standing next to her 59-kilo yellowfin tuna, which was an equal line class record in Papua New Guinea. So that was an excellent effort. But what I'm most proud of with Rebecca's, fishing was, in the middle you can see a trophy there. I'm not sure how well you can read that, but in that year, the first year that we took up game fishing, she won highest point scoring women angler, third highest overall angler, best top competition angler, highest point scoring new member, and largest yellowfin tuna. And what an awesome effort that was for a person who'd never been fishing before except for herring out of Fremantle or like rock cod or whatever. And she's picked up the rod and done an excellent job there. Now, I will preface that by saying I'm a little bit competitive, and so I did push them very hard, but the result was excellent, and it was all worth it in the end, wasn't it? Okay. But yeah, look, there's of those categories, only one of them was a female category. The rest of them were all like she was up against males in that situation. So yeah, excellent result. Next slide, please. Okay, so just a bit about my background. There's a photo from the beginning and of my my career, and also one that was taken in December. And so on the left-hand side, you see me as a young engineer doing my VAC practical work at Kulin Island. I was working underneath the fine ore bin, loading. Well, I was operating the valves that loaded the iron ore export ship. And you can see you don't see anybody in the mining industry now wearing shorts, and you certainly don't see anyone in the mining industry wearing khaki. And so the world has changed a lot in that time. And look, those of you can see, there's quite a big smile on my face. And I'm going to put that down to the fact that my 10 weeks working at Kulin Island during the Kulin Island closure project gave me enough money to be able to buy an engagement ring and to pay for a engagement party so Rebecca and I could get married. And so to me, I look at that photo and I think that was a young person starting off his life in mining and starting to piece together his life with his best friend and to start this amazing journey where it's taken us all around the world. And on the right-hand side, I've got a photo taken at St. Barbara's Day Parade with Naomi Prestige, who was one of our underground truck drivers, and actually driving the world's the first battery electric vehicle in an operating mine. Its serial number is number 2. The first one's still in a test mine in Europe, and this is the first one that they've sent out, and that's at Kambalda, and it was excellent to be able to have the first completely battery powered vehicle truck in the St. Barbara's Day Parade. Okay, so the next one, please. And just look, there's a couple of photos there of how we are starting to create a more supportive and diverse workforce. On the left-hand side is a photo of us receiving our Mates in Mining accreditation, which is a program that's designed to help support people's mental health. And Sue Gianni is actually in that photo. She's sitting here somewhere as well. So Sue is a Mates in Mining connector, and she is very passionate about that program. On the right-hand side is last year's Women Leadership Forum and the attendees from St. Ives. Next slide. So this is a bit of a story. So last year in December at the St. Barbara's Day Memorial, Gloria spoke and so did I actually. And so I was having a chat with Sabina from WASM, and Gloria happened to be standing there. And I was telling Sabina that I was looking forward to the fact that Bethany was going to do some prac this year, working for Burncut at Paddington during this Christmas period. And if you've heard Gloria's story, she's lost a family member to mining, and so it's quite a relevant question for her to ask me. She sort of took a breath and said, oh, how do you feel about that? You know, like, is she going to be safe? And so I put this question up here because at the time, I had an instantaneous reaction, and that was, as the general manager was saying, I said, of course she'll be safe. Why wouldn't she be safe? You know, look, it's my job to make sure that people are safe. And the other thing about it is there's 1,000 people working there. 1,000 parents have sent their children to work there. They also deserve for their children to be safe. So why wouldn't it be? But afterwards, I reflected on the question and said, well, hang on, like, as a father, if I looked at myself as a father, it's definitely a relevant question, and it bears some more discussion. And so that's what I'm gonna focus on the next little while, is to talk about that. So if you go to the next slide. So this is a slide I definitely cannot see that well, so I might be able to get closer. So I joined in the 1990s. So the mining industry, what was it like? There's a couple of photos there. There's one of a dump truck which is broken. It's in all mines, there's potentially hazardous working conditions. They're remote and isolated locations. Now, we're very lucky in Kalgoorlie because there's a lot of mines very close, and so because my experience is a bit broader than Kalgoorlie, I sort of will talk about the FIFO aspect of that as well. They're always build mines in hot, dry, dusty, remote locations that most people don't choose to go to. In the right-hand corner, there's a photo of me in Mongolia, and it doesn't look like it, but it's minus 40 degrees that day, and so you really do get thrown into like a very diverse sort of situation. There's very long hours, 12 hours plus, long rosters. When I first started, my first roster at Kulin Island was 10 weeks on, 1 week off. 13-day fortnights. So we would have worked longer than that, but it was legislated that you couldn't work more than 13 days. And if you wonder, does that apply to Kalgoorlie? This is my third time in Kalgoorlie. The first time I was in Kalgoorlie, I was actually on a residential roster on 13-day fortnight. So I only actually got 1 day off a fortnight and 4 weeks annual leave. So look, Rebecca and I moved up to Kalgoorlie about 2 weeks after she had our first child. And so, I was a new father, graduate engineer, and Rebecca, she did it really tough because I was never home. It's tough. The mining industry, it's not for everyone. Okay, so it's one of the things that at this point in time, it was actually for a lot less people, and so. It is a relevant question, why would you want your daughter to go into that situation? So if we go to the next slide. Now, I've put this down as the good old days. So in terms of leadership in the good old days, it was a very blokey sort of a place, the mining industry. It's very adversarial. There was a lot of blindsiding, so you'd go to a meeting and you wouldn't tell the other person that you were going to dob them in at the meeting, and you'd make their life hard so that you could win points from them. There was a club-like atmosphere. It's very, very difficult to break into that club-like atmosphere. It just was a difficult place to be for a young engineer growing up in that. Now, on the right-hand side, there's a photo there that says AWOL FIFO. So this is a photo I took this morning. Sorry, not this morning. On the weekend, I was actually walking past a vehicle, and it was actually in Exmouth. It wasn't here, but I was walking past a vehicle that was parked at a car park. I took that photo, and I thought, wow, like it's 2022. And someone is driving it was an F250, so maybe that might explain a little bit about the person. But it says Australian way of life, fit in or fuck off. And I thought, wow, that's not really inclusive, is it? You know, like that type of thinking. And I thought to myself, this photo, or this actual, this is a bumper sticker, this bumper sticker actually says so much about why the problems that we have in our industry, but also as a society, is because we keep making barriers for ourselves. So our situation is, in this particular one, is if you don't fit into our system, we'll go and find something else to do. And for a long time, that's what I was told. And so you have like this automatic passing on of that message. You know, if you don't fit into our mould, you're not going to work for us, because, you know, like, we've got all these things. Now, the good old days weren't the good old days. Okay, they're the bad old days, and the leadership that was displayed at that time leaves scars for a long time for a lot of people. People left the industry. People's marriages broke down. They still do now, but like, you know, like it was just a recipe for disaster. And so we changed that to the mining way of life, fit in or fuck off. So that's currently the way that, you know, in those days that was viewed. So through this, when I asked ourselves this question, I was thinking, look, has it really changed? And I think that the answer to that is that, like, luckily it has. There has been a lot of movement in that area. Now, not everywhere though. And so that's we've still got a mission. But in terms of where we're going in that, if we go to the next slide, please. Why would I want my daughter to be in the mining industry? You know, given what I've just said, you know, like, it's, you know, is she going to be safe? Well, if she you know, like, she's likely to not get hurt, but, you know, psychologically, will she be okay after she's been through that? And I said, you know, look, there's so many good reasons for women to want a career in mining. It's an exciting industry. There are great opportunities. You know, look, ask anybody. There's opportunities for everybody, and it's so multidisciplined these days. We have a job that will suit nearly everybody now, and has excellent paying conditions. Most mining companies are bending over backwards to try and attract and retain people, and attract and retain women in particular. They're great leadership roles. There are, and I think that the thing that I like the most about mining is that you have a real chance every single day to make a difference. And there's not every industry you get that chance. So if you want to, you can make a difference in the people that you influence. So it's definitely something that should be considered. We'll go to the next slide. So one of the things, so how have we been managing to improve the leadership? How to improve the mining industry so that it's more inclusive. And to answer this question about why I would like to have my daughter in the industry. Now, I'm definitely going to have to get even closer now. So one of the things that our organisation has been busy doing is culture surveys and developing actions from that. So we talk to our people and we ask them about our culture, and this is not just about diversity but other elements as well. And we've got a number of action plans in place that we're trying to move the dial to do better there. And recently we've actually taken on diversity and inclusion in that sphere, and making a difference there as well. So in terms of diversity, we've started diversity as that is participation of women, and also Indigenous people. But the reality is diversity is so much more than that, and we're just scratching the surface there. We've done both internal and external reviews of that. The internal one's looking particularly at diversity, external to look at our to align with the government inquiry into sexual harassment in the mining industry. Now, one of the interesting things about the mining industry is that if anything goes wrong in the mining industry, it's pretty much on the news. And so most mining companies are very, very progressive in terms of following up this stuff. So, you know, recently you've heard from Rio Tinto and BHP about sexual assaults on their site and all that kind of stuff. Well, this is part of that process, is going out and actually finding out. And we've had focus groups, we've had people sit with our women and have a chat to them about, you know, what has it been like, and how have you been treated, and what can we do better. And as a leader, I think that it's very important that we listen to that story and also come up with some, you know, actual changes to our workplace. And so the first thing is drawing a line in the sand. So there is unacceptable behaviour that is against our policies and procedures and against our values, and is not accepted. And people just have to exit the business. They don't get to stay. We continuously work hard to increase the visibility of our leaders. Our leaders are very busy people. They're tied up making sure everybody stays safe, making sure that we make money, making sure that we comply with all our rules and regulations. They can often get sucked away from dealing with the people, and that's their real job. So we need to make sure that they remain visible. Increase in feedback and consultation across the business. So Goldfields is actually 4 sites in Western Australia, and St Ives is just one of them. So we're trying to have a consistent approach across all the sites. Now the next one is quite a controversial discussion, targets and KPIs. So for so long, women have been underrepresented in our industry. And so as an organisation, we've taken the view that we have to have targets and we have to have KPIs about improving the number of women that we have in the industry and the number of Aboriginal people that we have in our business. And we have KPIs and targets. And sometimes we cop a bit of flack because of that, because people don't like that we're trying to move the dial. And it's mostly, obviously not many women have complained about that yet, but mostly the men. And one of the sad things that we have when we have our culture survey, we have a lot of verbatim comments. So people can write down, you know, whatever their little heart desires, basically. And sometimes some of those comments, you go back to the FIFO conversation, and people are basically saying, we don't understand why you're trying to do this. The industry was quite fine before you started this process. So we're actually battling, we've got a will to go one way, but our workforce in some cases is actually trying to stop that. And it comes out of fear, I think. People don't like change, and men don't like the balance changing. But there are some truly supportive men as well. So it's great to see. And we're making progress slowly, but it's getting there. Now, I put the gender pay gap analysis up there. You know, I'm going to have to start dodging bullets here, but it's an important conversation. So one of the things about the mining industry, it's when I first started, everyone was on an award rate. So it didn't really matter if you're a man or woman, if you did that job, that's what you got paid. And the reality is, that's a great levelling device. And the industry has pretty much sort of lived in that way. And the only real difference between that situation now and the one that we're currently in is that what we see is where the gap in money is in the roles that the people do. So like roles get paid very similar money, in fact exactly the same in most cases. But where the gap is like there's a lot less women in leadership roles, and the leadership roles attract more money. And so if you look at it on that basis, yep, if you took an average of what a woman earns in the mining industry and an average of what a man earns, the men will have earned more, but it's because they actually have roles which require more skills and experience. And the only way that is ever going to change is by getting our women enough skills so they can move up into those roles. Because we actually, look, we've just been through our pay review process, and I can put my hand on heart and say, one of the exercises we do is line up all people with similar roles and make sure that they are not being discriminated by their gender for how much they get paid. So it's not got to do with the roles, with like roles, it's got to do with various roles of different responsibility. And look, it's always going to be like that. So the answer is going to be is upskilling our women so they move into these higher positions. Okay, so the next one, education for all our employees. Now, I just talked about the story where, look, the verbatim comments that we get back are often disheartening, some of the attitudes that we get from people. So obviously, to move the dial and to improve this situation, we have to spend a lot of time working with the people who are now disenfranchised and making sure that they understand where we're going and why it's important. But we also need to work with our leaders, because the leaders are most, given what I've said before, there's a lot of males that have been in the industry a long time. They're now dealing with this quite a big difference. Previously they had all men crews, now they've got mixed crews. How do I deal with that? And so we do a lot of leadership type training for those people. And it comes back to, the reality is people are people. If you forget about their gender for a minute and just treat them how you'd like to be treated, or in this case how you'd like your son or your daughter to be treated, the answer becomes apparent how you should treat them. And so there is a lot of work that we're doing in this space, but look, we've got a long ways to go there. Next slide, please. Now, one of the things that has been an impediment for everyone who is not hardcore in the mining industry is the work environment and I guess the ablutions and the where you live, and so in a camp situation, everybody lives in the camp. At St Ives, 50% of our people are fly in, fly out, so there's about 500 people fly in, fly out. So it's relevant to even to the Kalgoorlie scenario that we have camps and we have people in them. And one of the things that came out of our review, and also the one that's been done by the government, is there are a lot of women that don't feel safe in these camps. And so why is that? Well, if you have a look at it, camps were made to be as cost effective as possible, to house predominantly men, single people, in some remote and isolated condition, and to get away with spending the least as possible as you could. And they're also designed by men. Okay, so nobody's really taken much thought into how do we make this situation more user friendly for ladies. And so, for me, nothing brought this to my attention than when I moved back into Kambalda, because initially I was living in Kalgoorlie, but initially when I came here, I stayed in the camp until Rebecca moved over. And on the left-hand side, that photo there is a photo of the laundry in the Kambalda laundry. So at one of our camp's laundries, and that was taken 3 days ago. Okay, so this is not an old photo. This is a new one. Now that photo there is a photo of it's like a laundromat, okay? And so when you work 12, 13 hours a day, when you come home, you get something to eat. When you stay in the camp, you get something to eat. You go and watch TV, and for me, I would then spend half an hour speaking to Rebecca on the phone. In the meantime, I've also got to do all my personal admin. So I've got to do my laundry, for example. And so one of the things that you see there is you can see there's a pile of clothes on top of that laundry. It's actually a dryer. So what would happen is you go and put your clothes in, set off the washing machine, go back, get on the phone, watch TV, whatever you're doing, time it, run back, and hopefully you'll be able to pull those clothes out and put them into a dryer and stand there and wait. Now, everybody's in the same boat as me. They're trying to do exactly the same thing. So every single machine is busy. And so what will happen is, if I go in there's a machine stopped, I just open that up, and if someone's clothes there, I'll pick it up and put it on top of that like there. Now, when you're in a camp and it's mostly men, you're picking up men's clothes, okay? So, and that's, their underwear, their socks, etc. But as there's more and more women in the camp, there's a chance that when I open that door, there could be a woman's clothes in there. Put them on top of that thing, and then the woman would come in later and go, and her clothes and underwear, etc., is all exposed. Everyone can see it. And they haven't picked it up, and it's got to go into the dryer. Now, if you're lucky, the person who pulled your stuff out of the washing machine put it in a dryer, at least it was in the dryer. And one of the things that our review has shown is that there's a lot of underreported theft of laundry. Women's clothing going missing, etc. And even for look, I'm not so bothered about that for except that I wouldn't like to lose my possessions. But somebody seeing my underwear or it go missing, like that's, unfortunate. Okay, but I could imagine as a woman that would be terrifying, and completely unacceptable. And this is the type of thinking that needs to go back into the design of camp. Is how do you manage that process? Because it isn't acceptable that a woman would have to leave their clothes sitting like that for men to see. And look, men are their own worst enemy. Their behaviour is shocking at times. A couple of other examples of where camps have designed that, doesn't really make a lot of sense is every single camp I've ever stayed at, the pool is right next to the wet mess. So you got any drunk person is standing next to the pool. How many women would ever use the pool with all those people standing around? And not drunk men, by the way, because you can only have 2 or 3 drinks, but like people who are drinking. Okay, so, and then what about where the gym is? And look, we've had reports back of men standing in a line watching the women exercising in the gym, and look, let's call it ogling. Okay, so looking at the women and making them feel uncomfortable. Now, none of that is acceptable, and it's up for us to make a change. Now, the other thing that I just want, there's a bit about security, beefing up security, CCTV, looking at the way that responsible service of alcohol, etc. That's all being looked at, and there's a picture there of Anika when she was pregnant. So Anika was a personal assistant to the general manager, so she was working for me, and she said, we don't have any clothes for maternity wear, and went out and found some. But this clothing issue is, clothes are not one size fits all thing, but if you want to get clothes from us, you just fill out a form, so I'm a size 10, or I'm a triple extra large or whatever you are, and that clothes arrives and you've got to wear it. Now, not many of those clothes have been designed to be flattering and are quite uncomfortable for some people. And so it's important that that we recognise that not all shapes and sizes are the same. And so one of the processes we're going through is to actually come up with a range of clothing that suits people, and maybe even giving people the opportunity to try them on before they get given their 5 sets for the year. Next slide, please. One of the things that we find is our business partners, who form about 50% of the people who work for us, they are a long way behind on this journey for us compared to us, and so we have to bring them along. And so there's a lot of words there. I'll just summarise that by saying we are now starting to measure what our business partners do. Goes back to the KPI things. What you measure, you manage what you measure. So if you don't measure it, you're not managing it at all. So we're starting to manage that. We're starting to push them in the direction of making sure that they have a similar philosophy as us on diversity, and we're also making sure that it makes it into their contracts. Okay, so it's not just a nice to have; they really have to have it. Okay. So just with this slide here, so what does our site look like in terms of diversity? So when I say Goldfields, so that's the St Ives employees who work for Goldfields, total 451. Interesting story, we have 26 different nationalities in our workforce, 99 women, so it's nearly 22% female participation. We have 16 Aboriginal Torres Strait Islanders, which is 3.5%, which is a very low number. But in the last year, it's gone up 3 times. So we've actually made quite a big difference in the participation of Aboriginals in our workforce. Now, in terms of what is an impediment for a woman to get, or even an Aboriginal person to get into work for us and in the industry, it often comes back to this whole skills story. So, there's not a skilled person that can go into that role. And so what we've tried to do is turn that around and say, well, if that's the case, every unskilled role should either be a woman or Aboriginal. Why wouldn't it be? Because we're just teaching people how to do that role. And so we've changed our philosophy. And that has made a huge difference in where we're going there. We have about 73% of, sorry, that's not quite right. It's 16%, sorry, 73 of our employees FIFO. So the 16%, that's 16%, which means that 83.9 are residents, local residents. And so we have about an equal split between Kambalda, or the Shire of Coolgardie and the Goldfields region, so Kalgoorlie, Norseman and Esperance. And a bunch of other people that sort of live elsewhere. So the basic story there is that we have a very diverse workforce, and most of them people are residential within the Kalgoorlie region. So, but there's still so much more to do. So if we go to the next slide. Okay, so I'm going to wrap up on that and say thank you. I just wanted to make the comment, the Goldfields team is made up of more than 20% women. We participate actively in International Women's Day as we believe it is the perfect opportunity to acknowledge the many talented women who form part of our operations and to say thank you to those people. Because without you, we wouldn't be successful. And anyway, so that's me.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Bevan. When is it going to be 50%? You know I'm here to ask you hard questions. And I think that your clothing really does need a little bit of a workout. Like, we've been on site, and let me tell you, I look fabulous in high vis. Why? Oh no, I look good in high vis. It's your pants suck. Boots are good. Thank you. That was Sugiani. I'm sure it was. No, it was Christine. Look, thank you for being brave enough. And look, well, that was harmless. That was my hardest question. Bethany I'm sure she's texted me and asked me a few questions. I better check my phone. But the reason I actually asked, and this is probably back in the mining when we were at the mine, I'll be 2 seconds work, stay with me people. The Miners' Memorial was, my brother was actually killed on a burn cut mine site. So I went straight into, oh my God, and I, as you know, only have one daughter who hopefully is still watching. Is there anybody out there? Rebecca Moyle, just text us a question. But I went straight into mother mode. But what I think is beautiful is that any single woman can just about do anything that a man can do. And I had the privilege of speaking at your International Women's Day event on Tuesday with Ali Kent. And we saw a lot of women there, Bevan, and that was your leadership team. So, keep it up. So thank you for being brave. You can go and sit down. There's not one alcoholic beverage that you can have, but maybe I should ask your wife, who is clearly the better fisherwoman, to come and speak to us next year. So thank you so much. And yeah, keep doing the good stuff that you do out at St. Ives. Thank you. Now, who have we been waiting for? Oh my gosh, I have to go back up and have a look at our... Sorry, stay with me everybody, because the person that you've been waiting to see, and last but definitely not least, is our keynote speaker, the vivacious Dr Paola Magni, Senior Lecturer in Forensic Science, our very own bug whisperer. Who knew Australia had one? She works at Murdoch University. She is a young mum, actually. She's got 2 beautiful children under the age of 4. She's got amazing props, actually probably a little bit more cooler than yours, Tara, which I must hand you back wherever you are. She makes science very, very cool. She has a longer bio than Bevan. Who knew that was possible? But what I'm not going to do is yes, she's giving me the hand. Yes, good. See, spoken like a true woman. Come on up, Dr. Paola, and come and tell us about all your amazing things. So please put your hands together for Dr. Paola Magni.
Thank you, Gloria, and thank you everyone for being still here. Okay, I need some dot points because if not, I'm gonna go out of track. So thank you for being here tonight. Thank you to Gloria that invited me. Thank you to Larissa who took me around this beautiful place. This is the first time for me to be in Kalgoorlie, and it's a discovery. It's beautiful. And thank you to Marta that yesterday sent me a message from the Western Australia Museum saying come and visit us, and we had a chit chat in Italian, and we discovered that we come pretty much from the same city back in Italy. So wow, who would have tell that? So yeah, let's start with the little presentation that I had that. Something about me. As you can see, there is a little girl having a pizza, so they probably give away the fact that I'm Italian. I've been always, I come from Italy. I moved to Australia about 8 years ago. And, well, it's been a journey so far. And I will tell you a little bit more about that today. As main interest when I was a kid was, well, my mom wanted for me to become a ballerina, so she put me in the school. She was not successful as my colleagues here with fishing because I didn't follow up with the dance class. The only interest that I always had was animals, alternatively weird animals, and alternatively even more weird animals. To the point that the house was full of very strange animals that, just going around well, we don't have a bush, we have kind of a little forest, because I was living in this city close to the mountains, so I was going hiking and finding whatever. And probably the worst one was a day in which I came back with a box of these frogs here that are called the wolf frogs. There were about 15. And well, they call that the wolf frogs, not because they look like wolves, but because they howl in the period of mating. And they only come out in the period of mating, so I got them at that time. So I was living in a building of 4 floors in a little apartment with my mom and dad, and in the middle of the night, this bunch of frogs were like, oh, so you can imagine the situation. My mom was like furious, but well, it could be worse, I guess, maybe. So it was not a surprise when I decided that I was going to enroll at the university. I'm the first one of my family going to the university, and I was going to choose natural sciences. It was also not a surprise when at some point I decided that I was not happy to study nature just in my city, but also everywhere in the world. And I got a scholarship. I ended up to study frogs and venomous snakes in the middle of nowhere in Kazakhstan. And it was a pretty strange situation because I didn't contact my parents for about a month, and there was no any ways to let them know that I was actually still alive. I had the opportunity to go in many different places in the world. We were not a very well family, so I actually got scholarship to go in different places only with the excuse of joining a research group and going to do some research in the desert or underwater or in strange places to try very strange food. So yes, I tried iguana, and I also tried the camel milk, that is not bad, and but I still had to try crocodile. So it's something still on the list of things to do. My mission for me studying natural sciences was, well, I want to know more about nature. I want to know every little bits and pieces about nature. I want to use nature for an application, a bigger application, bigger than me, with a bigger scope. problem is, when was the time of deciding for our research? Back in the days, the university structure was 6 years, take or leave it, and the last year and a half you had to do a main research. So basically it was a combination of bachelor, master, honors all together. And all of my professors at the time, they were providing research that was more science for science, blue sky science, things that are very cool, but you can't see an application tomorrow or today. You will see an application in 10 years' time, maybe even in the next generation. And that was not for me. I had to take a moment of break, and I decided to relax a little bit and say, okay, maybe I have to do something different. And I decided to change my course of study, and I changed my, one of my unit was astronomy with entomology. Entomology is the study of insects, and was an elective. This is a very strange situation for natural sciences to have entomology as an elective, because insects are the most present animals on the planet. You can find insects everywhere, from the glaciers to the desert, even underwater. But the professor, the first day of the course, said, well, insects are everywhere, but not that many insects have been studied. There are people that study insects because they are beautiful, butterflies, for example. Some people study insects that are vectors or pathogens, so they're very bad for us, like mosquitoes. And some other people study insects because they are very good for us, like pollinators, like bees. And that was pretty much it. And then he added something like, by the way, in the last few years, there are a group of entomologists that are studying insects that can be used for criminal investigation. Oh, these are very interesting piece of nature. We're talking about a time in which Google was not there, so I could not Google what he's talking about. I had to go to the main library of the city and look at all the books and things. There was nothing there, because what I found was the forensic entomology discipline was still at the beginning, and there was nothing in Italy at the stage. So I went back to the professor and said, I really want to work in this area, and I want to study this. And he said, well, find a way. Okay. I like a good challenge. So I then messaged the people at the health department, and they said, well, I actually want to work with maggots. And maggots are a big issue when you have a body that is decomposing. It's a natural situation, but it's very disgusting. So thank you for inviting me for a venue like that. Normally people don't want me when there is food around. My talk are definitely not meal friendly. So it's a very new venue for me, this. And so the head of the department was very happy to have me around, because I was the one with the scoop and taking away all the maggots, so all the pathologists were working way better. So I had the opportunity to work on several different cases, high-profile cases, and I worked beside the police and several very good pathologists. And what I understood at that time, and CSI was not a thing, so it was not that famous, was not that fancy, that glamorous. I understood that what movies were providing was the wrong question. When you think about a criminal case, you always think, who did it? But who did it is the last thing that you answer to. You always have to answer to every other questions, and then these questions will remove possible options, and then you find who did it. Because if not, you will commit what is called a miscarriages of justice. And I give you a quick example. You're here tonight, it's a beautiful night, you are sitting on the rugs, you are sitting on the chairs, and what a natural situation is that you're gonna lose some hair. You're gonna touch things, so you lose some sweat, or you touch with leaving some fingerprints, there is some of your DNA, and some from your clothes, you will leave some fibers. Then some of the talks are gone, there is a break, there are toilets, there are drinks, so you stand up and you go to the toilet. And somebody else wants to talk with your friend, so come to your place and sit down and talk with your friend. During the chat, the hair that you lost, the fingerprint and the sweat, and the fiber from your dress get attached to the clothes of this new person that is sitting at your place. Okay, easy, normal situation. But you go home and go to sleep. The other person go and commit a crime. And at the scene of the crime, this person leaves traces of you. Your DNA, your fibers, your hair. And that become a problem. Because it's not who did it, because who did it, it's you. It's everything else that you had to answer. When that happened, how did it happen? Many other questions just to answer to the main question, who did it? So the idea is that not all of us are going to commit a crime, but at the end of the day, every single one of us could be accused of one. And here comes the science. Because in court, it's not you against a lawyer, it's you against science. So I am deeply in love with forensic science because it's the science that can avoid miscarriages of justice. It's the science that can literally pinpoint the crime scene reconstruction, that can pinpoint who are the protagonists, who have the alibi, who has not the alibi. It's the science that can make the difference in the society because can provide the closure to a case that means justice for the family and peace for the victim. And it's about problem solving and details. There are things that women are very good at. We are multitasking, nourishing, good in details. So how are women in forensic science? So there are studies that have been produced about women in forensic science, and I can tell you that these studies are good because they really are mirror of what I can see at Murdoch University where I work. The majority of the students of forensic science are female, and they're bright. But when it comes to the world of work, you work in a boys' club. The lecturers and the senior lecturers that we have in forensic science at Murdoch are 5, only 1 is a woman, me. And last year that I had the baby, I was in maternity leave. Did they substitute me with another woman? No, they choose a man. Good. So that's not very good. And maybe this happened because we're not good in the job calls or in the job, sitting down for the question at the job appointment, but maybe it's because one of these things they probably cannot read very well. Because when they work in the workplace, women are not treated well, and they get very much stressed. The majority of the people that work in forensic science that are female, they have a high level of stress. There is also something else that the movies give us, and it's the picture of the forensic scientist or the criminal investigator. When you are a woman, you have very high standards. The stereotype for an investigator is to be super sexy, always made up, and super bright, hair always in order. That has never happened to me, by the way. And what about the man? Under the effect of drugs, lonely, borderline personality, doesn't want to work with anyone. So how there is this duality of women are so cool on TV, but they are not actually in the workplace, and this type of men are always hired? So let's focus on being cool and be fashionable in forensic science. Show me your bags. This is mine. And I will tell you something about how to get away with murder with the stuff that you have in the handbag. So, let's see what I can find today. Ooh, lipstick. Lipstick. How many of you have a lipstick, even if you wear the mask. I saw many of you wearing actually lipstick. That is cool. Continue doing it. Lipstick, it's very good. It's something that can be left at the scene. So remember, if you had to commit a crime, don't wear lipstick. If you wear lipstick, consider that the lipstick can be used to see the form, the structure, the outline of your lips, but also you can leave DNA, and also the chemistry of the lipstick can be used against you in the court of law. So what to do? Don't go for a fancy lipstick. Go for something that is very cheap and everyone can buy. There are places in Perth where you can mix your own colors and you have the only color possible that goes with your hair. Doesn't matter. Go with a flash pinky that you can find for kids. It's fine. Okay? Okay, what else? What's this? Popo cream. How many of you have a popo cream in the bag? Many of you. Okay, don't use it before you commit a murder. Because fingerprints are left from greasy hands, okay? So Italians are very good with fingerprints. But if you have lots of oily material in your hands, you can leave fingerprints that can be also visible underwater. So careful with the popo cream. Okay, maybe before going to sleep, but not all the time, okay? Have you got perfume in your handbag? Perfume is nice, good. Again, go for the cheap one because everyone can use it. And if there is the corpse there, just spray a little bit. You will allow the fly to arrive later so that you can run away to Cuba faster. Last thing, let's say, maybe you have a change, maybe it's a white t-shirt like this, a pair of jeans, everyone has a white t-shirt, a pair of jeans, never use it. Because, the opposite, always using a white t-shirt and a pair of jeans when you commit a crime. Because everyone has a pair of jeans and a t-shirt. It's the most common fabric and material that you can have. So it can be highly confused with the fibers of somebody else. So don't go for silk, don't go for some lycra things like, seriously, like Mission Impossible kind of thing. Go for very, very simple things, okay? So, criminal investigation is about creativity, okay? It's about problem solving. It's about using ideas out of the box in the context of a very unusual investigation. And our brain is made for problem solving because evolution is made us to be problem solvers, okay? But there is a but. On one hand, we have the fact that the brain to move from the blob in the ocean to the monkey in the jungle to the people that can go on the moon, we are problem solvers. But at the same time, we have some mechanism in the brain that are made to save us. So our brain always had the borderline ideas to give us to stay in the comfort zone. Why? Because it's evolution. The brain says us, you stay in the cave, because if you go out, there is a tiger, it's gonna eat you. Stay in your habit, because they work, okay? So, these are scary thoughts, but it's something that happened because it's the biology of the brain. And it's called the spotlight effect. I'll show you how it works. Imagine a situation in which you are in a meeting or somebody is talking and you are one of these persons, but you're not the blah, blah, blah person, the person that is hearing the talk. And you have an idea, or you think this person is saying something stupid. And you really would like to raise your hand and say something. But you don't do it. You do something that we always do as women. You hesitate. This nanosecond of hesitation gives to the brain a stress signal. And the stress signal gives us a sort of a commando mode of the brain that gives us the full list of things that will happen if we speak up. This is the spotlight effect. Light up all the things that will happen bad if we speak. So it's a problem because we stay silent in front of something that we could say, we could speak up. And silence and hesitation are the reason why things are not changing better, or they change too slow, and sometimes they change too late. The good thing is that silence and hesitation are up to us. So if we know that, we can change it. We are the one who can decide to raise the hand. We are the one who can decide to speak up or to walk away from certain opportunities, or to walk away from a difficult conversation, or even to walk away from a toxic workplace or a toxic relationship. We have the power to change. So this is our situation. What we have to do, we have to trick our brain. We have to stop the nanosecond moment in which we give the stress signal. And if we do that, the brain will give a different feedback that is the exact opposite. So the brain will reward us giving the opposite list. All the things that if we say that, and as soon as we say that, can connect and fit perfectly to grow our idea, to grow our network, to make our idea successful. So it's a spotlight again, but on the good things that we can do. So the answer is actually inside you, like physically, anatomically inside you, is in your brain. Imagine the situation in which you say, oh, I have an idea, I had this, and just for chance, you hear the music that says the same, you meet the person that you were thinking of, you read something that is exactly what you were thinking of. So many times this sort of feeling of the stars are aligned happen. But not the stars, it's not God's. It's our brain inside that is making the connection because we give him the opportunity to make the connections. You know this? Now, it will work. Is that easy? No! We have to do something else. There is something more that the brain is made of that can jeopardize us. There is a little spot in the center of the brain that has a terrible name. It's like nucleus accumbens. Sounds like a Harry Potter kind of formula. But it's actually the place in our brain that produces dopamine. Dopamine is a hormone. It's the hormone of pleasure. It's the one that goes nuts if we go shopping. Okay? Now, it also goes nuts when we do something such a good girl. Because, somebody told me that I'm a good girl. I keep doing that. It's something that goes nuts if we are loyal. Loyalty is a great thing. I mean, I have a husband, and he's probably watching me stream, so I'm loyal. But loyalty, at the same time, can be something that can hold us back. So we had to be very careful to be loyal. We don't have to be loyal to a person, to an organization, or to somebody in specific if it doesn't fit with our mission. We had to be loyal to our mission and surround us with the people in the place that can fulfill our mission. They can take our mission to the next level. I put 4 examples of my mission in some of these tables. Can you unwrap the little thing? Can you hold it to the light, please? My mission is not to open a shoe shop. I promise. In the last 10 years, Red Shoes are the symbol of the fight against women violence and gender violence. A symbol to remember to all the women that tragically disappeared because of use, abuse, trafficking, physical or mental violence. In my work as a forensic scientist, I worked on probably 500 cases, let's say. 95% were not homicides, but feminicide. So homicide of women. Murders that probably could have prevented if the victims or the people around them would not have been silent. These victims were one decision away from things to change. They hesitate one time more. So my job is just a little piece of the puzzle of the investigation, but my job is to make this piece worth. And also to bring awareness about not the investigation, but what to do to avoid the investigation. So my speech today is to urge you to don't hesitate. You have to beat your brain, become confident, and trigger the courage to don't hesitate for yourself, for your family, for your work, and for all the sisters that need that. You can be their strength. You can break the bias. That's it.
Oh, round of applause, please, for Dot. I was getting my lipstick ready, or my plain lipstick. What wonderful tips. Thank you so, so much. What a great speaker. If you're interested, Dr. Paola does a few TED Talks, and there's a little something, before you run away, Paola, don't run too far. Carmen's got a little something from us just to remember the goldfields, now that you know where Kalgoorlie is, and we hope to see you again soon. Now, it was worth the wait, wasn't it? Doesn't forensic science sound really cool? Don't we all want to enrol at Murdoch Uni and have Paola talk to us every day? Thank you all for what a wonderful evening. Before you go, and thank you so much for keeping the social distancing and doing all the right things, which makes our life better, because we don't want to see any numbers tomorrow, do we? Oh, come on, that was funny. Come on, somebody, please. Who's still here? Now, before we wrap up, I just want to invite our President Gillian Menhenna to come and do a final thank you to everybody. But thank you for being an amazing audience, and we were really pleased. I actually worked out this is our 10th International Women's Day, so it's been, not that this is not like a goodbye or anything, but this is my pleasure to have you as an audience. And I'm going to hand it over to our President Gillian Menhenna.
Wow, thank you, Gloria. Okay, let's see if we don't lose all our notes as well. All right, thank you all to our amazing speakers tonight. Thank you to Dr. Paola, Diane Rowan, Tara Rout and Bevan Jones. May their words give us courage to go out and challenge bias, whether it is directed at us or others around us. In our community, our workplace, or the hardest, I believe, challenge it to our loved ones and our families. The stories we've heard tonight bring together us all, because at some point we have seen some of this is real. It is related to us, and sometimes in our place and our journey in life, and it may still be something that we have in our lives. Let us all move forward and break the bias. To put on an evening like this, we have many people that are a part of it and give up their time to set up and make sure everything runs smoothly and that you all stay 2 metres apart. Starting with thank you to the KBRC for their sponsorship of this wonderful venue. Oops, sorry. Whoops. I'm losing it. Our other generous sponsors are the City of Kalgoorlie-Boulder and Northern Star Resources. Thank you also to Marina for keeping us all entertained with your amazing vocal talents. And thank you also to Bruno for lighting us up this evening and letting us hear our speakers loud and clear. Also to Chuck from Remote Digital Imagery for connecting us tonight to the online world and allowing others to be part of it, whether they are near or far. Thank you also to Cynthia for that wonderful welcome to country. Thank you to our board members, life members and staff, which are sporting their pink t-shirts tonight and also their yellow high-vis COVID vest jackets. Without them, we could not have held tonight, and also they were also keeping you all 2 metres apart still. Coming to the end of the thank yous, and the next big thank you is to Carmen and Amy for the organising skills and allowing us all to know that it's under control. With streamlining of setup to ticketing and organising all the things that needed to be done here tonight and behind the scenes. And also, we'll just add in making sure the COVID guidelines were followed. The last thank you, and I think the biggest one, goes to our powerhouse of a CEO, Gloria Moyle. Without her behind the Globe Women's Health Centre, this event, our organisation, would not be what it is. I know, and so do many of you that are here tonight, that this woman challenges bias for all women, not only those closest to her and in our community, but across our community, and makes real change for all women from all walks of life. Lastly, thank you to you all, whether you're here tonight with us or online. Thank you for coming and joining us at the Sisterhood at Sunset. Go forward, change the narrative for the present, future, girls and women that are all in our worlds. Travel safely and good night. Do you want to say anything else, Gloria? Oh, that's it. All right, thanks guys.